Welches deutsche GT3-Auto ist den besten? Welches deutsche GT4-Auto ist also auch den besten? Kann einer der vier Hersteller von Deutschland bei der Klasse heute Nacht gewinnen? Jetzt ist es Zeit, den ersten deutschen Pokal des Simgrids alle Sachen herauszufinden. Wir fahren natürlich zum Nurburgring, um 90 Minuten intensiven Multiklasse-Rennaktion zwischen den vier deutschen Luxusherstellern, zum Beispiel Audi, BMW, Mercedes und Porsche, zu fahren. Good evening.
That is right. Which German GT3, which German GT4 car manufacturer is going to come out on top tonight? It's time for the SimGrid's first ever German Cup night. What a night we've got in front of us. 90 minutes. Of course we are at the Nurburgring, the famous Nurburgring, for an intense battle of the ages. Audi, BMW, Mercedes and Porsche are going to be duking it out for your entertainment pleasure. David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt here with you for the next couple of hours. And Alex, yeah, it's safe to say we've been a little bit hyper getting excited for this one.
Hey, as the Germans would say, aber natürlich, naturally, here at the fantastic 3.199 mile, 5.148 kilometer circuit. This circuit has been around since the mid-1980s. It's a fantastic track. It really, really gives us a lot of excitement when it comes to flat-out GT3 racing. And of course, this is the home of the Audi 24 Hours of the Nurburgring. And you see when they go around the 20-plus kilometer circuit here. But the GP circuit has its own folklore in its own right.
It absolutely does. Of course, home to the VLN endurance race as well. Something that I've got my little racing heart set on joining as well. And a great night indeed. We've got GT3s to the absolute hill tonight, as well as a tasty stack of GT4s taking part in tonight as well. 90 minutes of racing coming up. And Alex, I think it's about time that you take us through a little lap here at the Nurburgring.
From Weissach to Affalterbach, we're on board the 889 Mercedes-AMG GT3 with Alaric Enslin behind the wheel, heading down towards the Haughaken, pulling over 245 kilometers an hour in fifth gear, going into the braking zone for the Haughaken from 100 meters out, down to first gear at around 60 kph on the apex. Now up to second ever so briefly before hitting the brakes into the Mercedes arena. Now up to third gear before dropping down into first gear after putting the anchors on. And look at the amount of curb taken on the left before swinging the car towards the right hand side, exiting out of the corner, now pulling up into third gear at over 180 kilometers an hour before pulling fourth gear into the left hander at Valvoline, down to third gear at 145 on the apex, then into the right hander at Ford, second gear at 95 on the apex before now pulling out from the corner itself and heading down towards the Dunlop hairpin, increasing the speed and the momentum of the car itself, pulling nearly 230 kilometers an hour in fourth before hitting the anchors once again down to first gear on the Dunlop hairpin. Now building the speed, commitment and momentum and the courage to get through the Michael Schumacher S's rather quickly, and pulls on the rev limiter, bouncing off it before hitting fourth in the middle of the Michael Schumacher S's. Now into the left-hander at Hankook, pulling nearly 230 in fourth, down to second gear at 123 on the speedometer. Then the right-hander at the Bidkurve, before now you really start to wind this GT3 beast up to volume number 11, heading into Advan. Now pulling up into fourth gear, going through at over 225 kilometers an hour through Advan before pulling fifth. You then go into the NGK chicane, down from fifth to third at 160 kph, and then it's the Hyundai N-Kurve that is the last corner to circumnavigate on this nigh on 3.2 mile circuit, as now it's the run to the line here on the Mercedes-AMG GT3. Now we're on board with Kevin Gilardoni in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport here at the Nürburgring, just under 3.2 miles. We're on a hot lap on board this car, braking from around 210 kph down to 65 for the Haughaken. The braking was done at the 100 meter mark aboard there. Through into the Mercedes Arena, going shortly up to third before going back down to second, up to third again. Now into the tight left-hander that Nyon comes back on itself before you've got the right-hander here And you're going to take these corners at around second gear, using as much curb as you dare on the right hand side before pulling third, coming out of the corner. Now heading down towards the left-hander at Valvoline. Very close to the cones on the left-hand side was Kevin Gilardoni, taking Valvoline at third gear at 140. Now down to second for Ford. Now pulls third. Up to fourth gear on the Parabolica-esque straight. Up towards the Dunlop hairpin. Down from fourth to second. 85 kilometers an hour on the apex. For running the car a little bit wide to the left to get the speed and momentum for the Michael Schumacher S's. Up into the left-hander, taken at fourth gear at 165 before putting down the power once again, trying to keep the car nice and straight as you accelerate and exit out of it at about 185. Down to Hankook from fifth to third, 115 on the apex. Now into Bidkova, once again dropping down on the brakes. Third gear. 120 kph. Now through into Advan, and you're going to pull fifth gear just before you hit the apex of this corner, around 210 kilometers per hour before the NGK chicane, and then we'll have one more corner to go. Down from fifth gear at 226, down to third gear at 140 through the first part. Now it's the Hyundai N cover. You can see how much curb on the left hand side Kevin Gilardoni's using as he goes tight to the barriers out of the final turn and runs towards the line here at the Nurburgring.
There we go then, some expert guidance round Nurburgring twice here from our very own Alex Goldschmidt. First time in the GT3, second time in the GT4, and it is GT4s that are going to be leading the way then for our first 15-minute qualifying session. And I guess depressingly, Alex, the GT4 qualifying time is about the time that I do a GT3 lap in here.
Well, why don't you just announce that to the masses then, David?
I think I just have.
Yeah, you have. I mean, to be honest with you, the level that we've got in this field, I mean, just looking all the way down it, you know, you've got drivers like Sebastian Handler from Austria. He's raced 19 races with us here at the Sim Grid. He's had 2 top 10, so hasn't had the best of results, but we've got Tom Hyer on our screen. As far as I'm aware by the statistics, according to the official website, thesimgrid.com, he's got, I think this is actually his debut here in this class. So we're going to have quite a few other drivers. We've got Matt Olkers, who's originally from South Africa, now resides in Germany. He's one of the BMW drivers out there. So we've got a very, very good mix. And it's looking a bit of a Porsche fest in GT4, if I'm completely honest with you. I count at least 9 or 10 cars that are using the 718 Cayman, but you've got Chris Rubelar there, Corbinian Singer in the 621 BMW. You know, the drivers are starting to get out on, you know, their out laps. And I think one of the drivers, it was the 991 of Jens Kaiser, who's actually had 2 top 10s with us here at the Sim Grid, has competed in 4 races, but the driver with the most races covered so far from the USA is the 818 of Ryan Whitlock, who's had 5 race victories. And back in the SimGrid Pro Sprint Cup, he was P1 in split 3 overall, and 4 of his race victories actually came from that particular championship. He's had 9 podium finishes, 13 top 10s and 4 fastest laps. So on paper, Ryan Whitlock, who we're on board with at the moment, is the one to really, really keep an eye on in GT4 this evening. Yep, some
absolutely cracking stats there from our resident statsman Alex Goldschmidt there. Ryan Whitlock, we're currently on board with for Madhouse Racing in the 818 Porsche 718 Cayman. But the other thing that we've got to keep you updated with now, it does say qualifying 25 minutes. They're already 5 minutes into a 15-minute qualifying session. That means both the GT3s and GT4s are sharing this session. What happens is GT4s will go out for the first 15 minutes, and then manually race control will call out the GT3s to go out as the GT4s head in, so that way we can get the one session out of the way, and you get a proper grid nonetheless. And it does leave the chance, of course, Alex, that if the GT3s do have an absolute howler with their qualifying session, they may end up being at the back of the grid, and obviously you'll still be in front of the GT4s, but it makes it very, very difficult for this 90-minute race. You were telling us there about some of the names that we see time in and time out here. I think looking through the entry list, Alex, the one thing that's really excited me is the swathe of new names, the new fresh blood that we've got in tonight, and maybe some of them trying tier one, split one for the first time. They might be in split 2, split 3, split 4 for some of the other races, but fancying having a go at the big time tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's one driver that I recognise straight away from the multi-class at Spa, James Bacon from Great Britain in the number 7. He was P8 at the split 2 of the GT4 launch night, but he also competed in the stacked out Spa Spectacular that we had just a few weeks ago. So, you've got Cristian Lozanov, and there is... what a team name, Rate My Bacon Racing. Hopefully that's good old British bacon there, James, because otherwise if it's got to be crispy. It's got to be extra crispy if he's doing it in the frying pan, but hopefully he doesn't using a George Foreman grill at that particular moment.
9 out of 10, mate, with bacon again. 23 and a half minutes left to go overall in the qualifying session. Just about 7.5 minutes, 8 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. James Bacon, though, straight in there as the second highest placed BMW right now. And on this track, this is a very, very wide, fast, free-flowing track, Alex. How important would you say qualifying pace is right now? Is it a track you think that we're going to see lots of overtaking on? I know the answer to that one, but I'm going to ask it for the sake of our audience anyway.
Well, I think there are definitely plenty of overtaking opportunities, going through the Michael Schumacher S's through into the left-hander at Hankook, as Florian Bauer, one of the newcomers to this split, is actually making it a German 1-2, because you've got Tom Hyer in the number 2. So it is a Stuttgart 1-2 for Porsche at the moment. There's Jens Kaiser rounding out the top 17, yet to set a banker lap, and the same can be said of Russia's Grigory Mosman, who is in the number 79 BMW. But you can just see the split between the top 9, and that's from Tom Hyer down to Chris Rubelar, and that's just over 0.8 of a second. They know that qualifying is rather important, but like I was saying, you go into the Haughaken, that's a perfect overtaking opportunity if you get out of the final corner of the Hyundai N curve. We're on board now with Nicole Schleiter in the 202 from Next Round Racing, currently 15th, and has a bit of time to make up as the number 202. But yeah, I mean, going from Ford to Dunlop, that's another overtaking opportunity. So there's quite a few here, and we've seen it here on SimGrid before, that there will be overtakes that people will not see coming, and that includes the pair of us here in the commentary box.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to wait to see how that pans out. But just as we go out of Dunlop there, I think that's going to be a massive focal point for us, because on the run out of Ford and on the run down to Dunlop, I can see masses of chances for folk trying to outbrake cars that are going to be alongside as well. This is always a curve that really gets me as well, Michelin curve, and then on the run to Versteiner curve. It's very, very easy to outbrake yourself going into Michelin as they then come up the run to Advan here. The chicane at the end here, the NGK chicane. Oh, and Nick Babin. Yes, that is not the best there, as we see. But the last chicane as well, Alex, it has many different variations over the different versions of the circuit. This, I think, is one of the faster versions of that chicane.
Well, through the hot laps that we saw earlier on, with Enslin and Gilardoni, you can literally straight line it and keep the power planted. Enslin was absolutely flying through there in the GT3, so we're going to see, incredibly fast lap times as we've got just under 6 minutes to go. I mean, the track's at optimum. It's dark. There's no wind to pick up whatsoever, and it's 19 degrees Celsius. And just look at that time from Tom Hyer from Germany, the number 2. He's put in a 2-minute 3.534. He's nearly 4.5 tenths up on Florian Bauer. And then you've got Christian Lozanov, who actually won GT4 Split 1 for Spa Multiclass in the Aston Martin. He's gone with the BMW. He's just over half a second off of Haya, and then you got Sebastian Handler in there as well. Nick Babin, who had that, and Babin, I think, even with that off-track excursion into the entrance of the pit lane, still to be P5. You know, that's a pretty good result, and when you consider he was actually P2 at Spa for the multi-class in this very split in GT4. So let's not say that the complete story is yet to have any chapters closed, because Babin could really be a dark horse if that Porsche's wound up correctly and he's got the right setup.
And I think drivers, Alex, now are going to be going out for their final outlaps to prepare for their last attempts at this qualifying. Got to say a big hello to Jankovic, to 95 Racing, to Peter Pan, to Sean Prinsloo, all the way from South Africa, to Gabriel Rodriguez, who are having a little chat there in YouTube tonight. Very warm welcome to you all. You are most definitely welcome. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button as well. I feel like a proper YouTuber saying that. Hit the like and subscribe button. 4 and a bit minutes left to go in qualifying for the GT4 here for our German Cup night tonight. Just watching Ryan Whitlock, and absolutely, as you said it there, he just throws that car in. The Porsche really holds the grip around the corner. It looks dramatic, but it's almost certainly lost him time. So he was on a better lap, but that's almost been thrown away at that chicane at that last corner.
Yeah, I think probably lost a good 2/10 of a second, maybe even 3/10. And Lozanov looks to be up at the moment. So Lozanov, winner at the Spa multi-class. There's Sebastian Handler making his way through the Michael Schumacher S's. He's 2/10 up going into the next left-hander, so the number 15 Porsche. This could put him on a provisional P2 and Lozanov is actually ahead of him and is just going through the NGK chicane as we speak. And Lozanov is 3/10 up. This will put him on provisional P2 alongside Tom Haya on the front row with just around 3 minutes to go. And that could be rather interesting as Lozanov goes P2 provisionally, 2.7 tenths. And Handler is now coming out of the final corner, and he's got 4 tenths up. He's got big gains this evening. 30% of the total field make up this, and he's gone a tenth and a half slower than Tom Haya. At the moment, David, it is a German-Austrian 1-2.
Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit nervous now for Tom Ryer up on that pole position. We did see, and I wasn't expecting the gap to be 4/10 of a second. I was expecting it to be much closer, and don't be surprised to see more times coming in that top 10. And I think we're going to have maybe about 12, 13 cars split by just about a second, really.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, the top 13 split by 1.8 seconds. Lozanov is in the pits and has decided to call it a day in qualifying. Here's Jens Kaiser in the 991, based out of Germany. He's now coming through into the left-hander. These track corners at the Nurburgring get changed so often. They've either been called Hankook, Michelin, Warsteiner, Bitkurve. The Coca-Cola corner at the final part of the track, that's now known, according to a good source from Germany, that it's the Hyundai N-Curve, because Hyundai have a lot of their motorsport operations based just outside of the Nürburgring, and it's where their N division is based, because the former head of BMW M is actually the head of Hyundai N, so they brought the very best, and it ended up being with a South Korean manufacturer. But here comes Jens Kaiser. He's just under 7 tenths off. 1 minute and 20 for GT4s in qualification. Does Kaiser actually improve? I think not. He was 2 tenths down, but the big thing here, David, is I've just seen that Daniel Klein, who was P5 in the first split at Spa for the multi-class, he was literally 3/1000ths of a second off of P6 as Chris Rubler from the Poffo Racing team in the number 17 Audi, trying to make his way through. If he gets an opportunity to try and maybe get a bit of momentum, he's going from Ford to Dunlop. Can the Audi get some headway? And what's more, David, he is the sole representative for Ingolstadt in the GT4 class tonight, so he's going solo.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one actually, because we can see here the Audi is not it's not a black swan of of a car. It's really holding itself up well. 10th at the moment, and I do think he can get a couple of tenths out of this. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do this, because this is going to be the final roll of the dice now for qualifying. And you know, you've told me many times, Alex, it's one thing to get a great qualifying position, but that means absolutely nothing if you can't transform that over the next the next 90 minutes. And who knows what is actually going to happen here, because obviously with pit stops into the mix as well, you know, it's fantastic to get yourself up to the top of the grid, but that's only one part of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is now we've actually gone past the halfway point in qualifying, so now the GT3s are going to be released by race control as Chris Rubilar. Oh, now there was a GT4 Porsche on the inside of the Hyundai N cover. That will have cost Rubilar time. He will not improve from 10th position. Sebastian Handler, he's 2 tenths up. That could, at this particular rate of knots, David, he's going through into the left-hander at Michelin, then into the right-hander at Warsteiner. This could give him the opportunity to steal pole position at the last gasp. And the biggest thing is Tom Hyer is in the pits.
Yeah, I think he feels like he's done his job here, and Handler may very well take that one away. I think he's the last GT4 on the track just now. In fact, no, James Bacon. I think James Bacon is possibly on there, or is that Emilio Garcia? We'll find out in a second. But what a lap this is from Handler just now, coming through the final corner. And Handler comes across the line out of the was Coca-Cola curve. He was 4 tenths up, and there you go. Sebastian Handler takes pole position at the last gasp, Alex. 2 minutes 3 seconds, 0.2, and a 2-tenth lead over Tom Ryer. And he will be absolutely kicking himself as we move on to the GT3s. Wow, wow, wow.
I think the only 2 words in German I'm going to say right now to Sebastian Handler, herzlichen Glückwunsch, congratulations, that was a mega lap. And now this is where we're going to see the real increase of speed. Obviously, for those watching the hot laps earlier on, you're going to find that the GT3s are going to be around about 8 to 10 seconds at the very least quicker than the GT4s. We've got Alexander Raab in the 150. Audi R8 LMS Evo, another Austrian on this field. 30% of the grid I calculated earlier on, which is around about 15 drivers. If we had the full 50, would be representing Germany. That is, obviously, they've come out in their droves. They've decided, right, we're going to go absolutely hammer and tongs here at the Nurburgring. It's a circuit we all know. You're going to find that the Austrians, the Swiss, are really going to have an opportunity. There's a familiar face, well, familiar name, of course, Vasily Anufiyev, the number 77. And that very, very fluorescent green. I think that's nigh on radioactive, that Audi, isn't it? How did that one get out of the factory at Ingolstadt, I wonder?
It's certainly glow in the dark. Another name that I've noticed here is the number 41 of Igor Ogorodnikov. Now, what has surprised me is that our YouTube chat isn't blowing up with his fan base tonight. I'm sure that we'll see that kicking off very, very shortly. We'll certainly see if he gets himself in any mischief, because they are all over it. And yeah, I do love the little fan group that he does have coming out in show. But big names that we've got out here. Obviously, we've got Attila Denks in the Audi. We've got, let's see, Yuri Petrichenko. Again, Nick Balzar. We've got Amir Hosseini. We have to spend a little bit of time talking about him. He is a firm favourite tonight in the Merc. Lucas Kreuzer as well. So yeah, the entry list looks very, very exciting.
I mean, just looking through the stats, this is going to be my raison d'etre, as they say in nearby France. But Amir Hosseini, a 50% strike rate in all of the 8 races that he's competed here on SimGrid. He's won. He's had 7 podium finishes. He's had 8 top 10s. So at no point in his and he's already banged in a 1 minute 53.475. That's 0.132 quicker than Anufiyev. Obviously, the man in 3rd place. We welcome back Tobias Grunwald from Germany. And if anyone remembers what happened between Tobias Grunwald, George Boothby, and Niklas Huben at the 2.4 hours of Imola, Grunwald was in prime position to possibly get that victory. What happened with 30 seconds to go? Boothby and Grunwald go into the pits. and Huben flies past them on the start-finish straight whilst the top two are still in the box. And that was one race, I think, David, you and I could not even believe our eyes that an Audi won at Imola.
Yeah, that was just an incredible race to be part of, and the way it all unfolded in those final 10 minutes. I don't think any of us, you were certainly on the higher range of your vocal range. It was just an awesome experience, and I mean, hats off to the guys at the Sim Grid. The one-off events that they've been pulling off in the past couple of months have been absolutely superb. They really have been, and hopefully, I mean, we have such a great time, Alex, you and I, in the commentary booth here, and I can only hope that for you guys watching at home, it's just as enjoyable as we get to experience here. But, you know, Amir Hosseini, 153.4. I've got no doubt that he's going to come under pressure from, you know, the likes of Igor Ogorondikov and Vasily Anufriev, but to get straight in there, that's wild.
You know, one of the names I'm going to throw out here now is the driver in 5th place, local to these parts, Germany's Sven Rosenbaum in the 777. Now, Rosenbaum, we have seen good pace from him before. He's raced with us before. He was actually at I think it was at the Spa multiclass, or was it the 2.4 hours of him? I completely forget, but he's raced with us twice. You know, sticking with good old Falterbach's finest with the Mercedes AMG GT3. In the full German vernacular there. Sorry, I just had to slip into that role, because being, for those that are wondering, my surname, yes, it is German. I'm an 8th German by descent. And to be honest with you, to be part of this first ever German Cup, it's a true pleasure and an honour. And to be alongside you as always, David, you know, to be at the Nurburgring, couldn't have thought of a better place on Assetto Corsa Competizione to host this with the 4 premium luxury manufacturers that battle it out tooth and nail every weekend in sports cars.
I've got to be honest, you flatter me way too much, Alex. I'll give the guys and girls at home a little idea of what the pre-race build-up was like for me and Alex. Obviously, Alex having German descendancy in his blood, and I was all happy because I took a couple of years at high school doing German and could remember how to say the ABC song, the German ABC song. So a real proper level of German vocabulary right there. I think we've both got covered between us.
Yeah, well, Petrochenko, in the meantime, the winner at the British Classics, he has gone P1 by 45 thousandths of a second, and look who's in second position. It's the number 41 of Odgorodnikov. And Hosseini has got to find nearly 2 tenths to get himself back on the front row of the grid. We've got 7.5 minutes of this session. Odgorodnikov has got a flyer in that car at the moment, that Mercedes, but Hosseini, Anufriev, Grönwald, you know, the top 5 covered by, 0.378 seconds. You look down to, and Dietrich, I've just heard Jan-Marcel Dietrich in the 85, another German driver here. He's running the Porsche 911 GT3R from 2019, but I think he's just lost a bit of time, and he's lost a bit of time, but Odgorodnikov responds to Petrochenko and goes 36 thousandths of a second quicker with a 1 minute, whatever that was an absolutely blistering lap time, because I could, 1 minute 53.250. Yep, so, it's game on for pole position, and I think anyone, all the way down to possibly 13th position with Dietrich, is a possibility. You got, you got the likes of Zoltatov. I've just heard is just a second up. This could put him towards the bottom part of the top 10, and he goes 19th to P12, 0.633 seconds off. There's Josef Dobes that we've seen before here at the Sim Grid. He's running at the 1:54.7s. This is getting incredibly tight. We thought that GT4 was going to be close. GT3 is a completely different world altogether.
It certainly is, and with 5.5 minutes or 5 3/4 minutes left to go in qualifying, myself and you are just going to have to sit back, take a deep breath, because in the final 5 minutes, it's all going to be absolute mayhem. Expect those times to come in proper rapid fire. They've got the banker laps in now. They've got their safety laps in, so they know if all else fails in the next 5.5 minutes, they've got those times on the board. Now they can just absolutely throw caution to the wind and push, because maybe more so than GT4's, GT3 qualifying is so important, given that we've got what's that, 28 to 30 plus cars in the GT3 grid. You need to be in that top 15 to have any chance at winning this race.
Yeah, well, that's 28 GT3, 18 GT4s. We've got 6 different splits here tonight on the German Cup for GT3 and GT4. Close to 300 drivers tonight competing on the SimGrid servers. For those one, and Dietrich seems to be a few tenths up at the moment. He's now coming through Advan. He's 6 tenths up. He is going to be close to the second row. He's got to nail it through the NGK chicane. Neatly does it from the AC5 from Germany. Now into the Hyundai N cover. He could even be on pole position. He's got 7 tenths in his pocket as he comes out of the final corner. And Dietrich goes towards the line. He goes P1, a 1:53.226. And he could have had another 2 tenths, David. He could have beaten Ogorodnikov by 0.224 seconds. But look at the top 3, 60 thousandths.
Well, what did I say? 5 minutes to go. This is starting to get a little bit interesting. It's starting to get a little bit exciting. I've got a feeling that is not the only time we're going to see pole change in the next couple of minutes. Because look at this, Chris Hartveld already half a second up as he comes through the final curve just now. So he is just a whisker away from being on that front row. He could even take pole. It's all about that last entry, that last exit from the corner. He loses a bit of time there. Chris Hartveld only improves up to 5th place. Here's Attila Denks for the G Simulation eSport number 18 Audi, currently 4 tenths of a second behind, and making his way. That looks like it's Dunlop curve that he's down at just now, then through the Schumacher S's. So as I said, this is where it's all going to change right now. 2 tenths up right now. So this is going to mean that he's going to be at the moment between P4 and 5 for Attila Denk. So if he can improve on the 2 tenths that he's up right now, he might be able to get himself up into the front row of the grid between Dietrich and Igor Ogorodnikov. Great to see. I was calling out for the supporters for Ogorodnikov, and they're already up there in chat. Vasily Onufriev, though, Alex, we haven't really seen much from him.
Yeah, Onufriev goes up to P5, 0.27 seconds off of Jan-Marcel Dietrich, and Danks looks to be on the hot shot. He's half a second up. That's going to put him on provisional pole. He's going to cross the line in the Audi P3, 48 thousandths off of Dietrich. Meine Güte, yes, this is nicht vorbei, as they would say in Germany. It's not over yet. We've still got 2.5 minutes to go. Petrichenko with sparks flying coming out of the Warsteiner Kurve. Oh my goodness me. We thought that the stacked out Spa Spectacular was something. Here it is in the dark, in the deep of night, 18 degrees Celsius here at the Nurburgring GP circuit. And it's anyone's guess. Dietrich has pitted. I don't think he's. I think that's one of the four drivers behind. Ogorodnikov, Petrichenko will have another couple of laps in hand. Attila Denks, Hosseini, we can't rule out either.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think perhaps Dietrich thinks that he's got the job done, and we saw that in the GT4s. Is that going to come back to bite him? Bear in mind, there is only 2 minutes left to go in the session, so it's now or never. Dietrich decides to come back out the pits. Surely he's not going to get another lap in. Of course, he's just left, and it gives us the update when he leaves pit lane. So he's timed that to possibly perfection. He's left it very, very close. So Dietrich is going to get one more shot at this. But this is Amir Hosseini just coming through the NGK chicane. It is looking so good. He's currently 2 tenths of a second off of pole position. He's got it in his sights. A slow exit out of the final the corner there. 3 tenths up. Wow, 1:53.139 for Amir Hosseini. We said before the show, we said he's going to be the man to watch. 0.08 of a second up on Dietrich, and that blows the doors wide open for this qualifying session, Alex.
You know what the funny thing is, David? 3 of the 4 brands are occupying the majority of the grid all the way down to 20th position, which is the 237 of Boris Deprez from France. He's 1.5 seconds off in that BMW as we're into the last 30 seconds. Yellow flags out ever so briefly, but they are now retracted as it was someone going off at the Hulk Haken, I believe. But Denks is... look at that. And Hardeveld in the 518 in the GTWR Racing Team Porsche now comes through the NGK chicane. We've got literally just over 10 seconds on the clock. He's gunning for pole position, comes out of the final corner here at the 3.199 mile circuit. Let's have a look. So what does Hartveld bring to the party? He goes P2 by 6 1,000ths. Oh my goodness, on the checkered as well. Wow.
That is incredible stuff, and of course he crossed the line ahead of the checkered flag, Alex, so he has got another lap. Dietrich, however, is across the line, takes the checkered flag, so he's done it. So we've still got Hosseini is going to get a lap in, Hartveld's going to get a lap in, Ogorodnikov is going to get a lap in, Petrochenko is going to get a lap in. We just don't have any idea in the next 2 minutes who's going to be on pole right now.
Well, Sven Rosenbaum is now making his way down to Dunlop. He's down in 11th position. He's equal on times with Jan-Luca Gans, who actually we saw at the in GT4 at Spa-Francorchamps a few weeks ago. They set exactly the same lap time. And there is Petrochenko. He's now heading on his way down to Dunlop. And Petrochenko, by the splits, we've just been told he is on course for stealing pole position. If he's got over a 10.5 in the pocket, that means that Hosseini is done. Hosseini hasn't got another lap. Petrochenko could be in the high 52s. He's now going into the left-hander of Michelin, then into the right of Warsteiner. Let's stay on board with the number 26. And the thing is that the nationality against his name just so happens to be from these very parts from Germany. Now coming down into Advan, 5th gear at 220 kph. He's still on course for pole position. He has got a 100% win record. He's got it all across the bow, and now he comes through the NGK chicane, through the Hyundai N curve for the final time. Petrochenko now powers out up into 3rd gear. He's now going to hit the line. What's the time going to be for Petrochenko? It is a 1:53.067, 68 thousandths off of 1 minute, a 1 minute 52.
Wow.
Wow.
Last car across the line to take the checkered flag. Yuri Petrochenko on pole position there. A stunning drive. And that's exactly what we were saying. That 5 minutes, just a crazy end to qualifying here for the German Cup night here at the Sim Grid. Here is qualifying then for your race coming up, 90-minute race. Yuri Petrochenko in pole position ahead of Amir Hosseini on 2nd place. Row 2 is going to be Chris Hartfeld alongside Jan Marcel Dietrich. It's then Igor Ogorodnikov alongside Attila Dents for 5th and 6th place in row 3. Row 4 is going to be Tobias Gronfeld alongside Vasilia Nufriev, and then row 5 is going to be Lucas Kreuzer and Nick Baltzar. Sven Rosenbaum is in 11th place with Jean-Luc Gans, with Yves Field and Konstantin Soldatov in 13th and 14th place. Alexander Raab alongside Baptiste Capricot in 15th and 16th. It's Grant Wilmot and David Motez in 17th and 18th, and then it's Alessandro Foche alongside Dave van der Niet in 19th and 20th place. We'll bring you the 20th downward in just a couple of seconds, Alex, but wow, that qualifying session.
You know, I'm not at all surprised. We've got a German on pole for GT3 and an Austrian on pole for GT4. Just the amount of calibre of drivers that we've got this evening, when the top, when we literally had, around about a 10th covering the top 4. No one could have predicted that. I mean, I thought everything that I've done working alongside you on the Sim Grid so far was entertaining. That was the most heart-stopping 30 minutes I think I've ever commentated on alongside yourself, mate. And for it to be at the pitch black, darkness, still 18 to 19 degrees Celsius. And look, we are starting at 6 o'clock in the morning on the actual server. Track temperature, 17 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy overhead, but we know that with the Eifel region, there always comes the rain. But however, there is being nothing predicted over the first 30 minutes. And also, for those wondering, Just like the multi-class at Spa, it is 2 mandatory pit stops for all competitors, GT3 and GT4, and they can take them at any time during the race.
They certainly can. So we're going down the grid then with 2 3/4 minutes left before the race, Alex. Let's have a chat about this, because obviously we'll talk about GT3s first. I mean, that is a huge top 5 right now. Petrochenko, Hassani, Hartwell, Dietrich and Yegorogrodnikov. I mean, outside of them, any one of the top 10 could still take this, but those top 5, I mean, that is some amount of names.
That is like a SimGrid's who's who right there, because you can't really expect anything less than, to sing that caliber. And that's one of the things when I saw the entry list, when I was doing my grouping of statistics ready for tonight, I was looking at the names, and then when Michael Hamlet pinged us a message through our Discord text chat, like the names who were on it, I was just looking, and every time I was going through the stats, I was like, wow. Then I came across, Amir Hosseini. Oh my goodness, we're in for an absolute barnstormer tonight here in Germany.
We certainly are. And I've got to be honest, Alex, right, after that amazing qualifying session, there's some words that a commentator that I work with quite a lot recently sticks in my mind, and that is, you ain't seen nothing yet. These 90 minutes are going to be absolutely incredible. And I have to echo what you've said, that we've worked together on quite a number of different events lately, and none of them feel like this. None of them have the energy, the excitement, that it just feels like it's taken it up to 11. And I just honestly do not know what is going to happen in these next 90 minutes.
To be honest with you, David, I couldn't agree more. For those that are wondering about our social media, you can go to Instagram, the SimGrid. Twitter, it's at sim_grid. You can also type in the SimGrid on Facebook. You can also go to the simgrid.com. Also, you can go to blog.thesimgrid.com for all the relevant information about write-ups for the event through our writing team here. And obviously, we've got some great partners as well. We can't forget, of course, Thrustmaster and Coach Dave Academy.
We certainly can, and without their support, their continued support, none of these amazing events that they run here would happen. But we get down to this nitty-gritty, we get down to the serious, because we're just a couple of moments away from the green flag lap here at the SimGrid German Cup night. And yeah, this is where it starts to get a little bit real for the drivers. You see the cars bouncing down from their virtual air jacks. That means the cars have had their setups loaded, they've got the fuel setup loaded, they've got their strategies set, and their teams are ready to go. Because you better believe that a lot of these drivers are all on voice chat with their teammates, with their friends, with their co-drivers, talking about strategy, talking about setup, talking about how the track is feeling. You get a wonderful little view there of the discarded rubber that comes off of the tyres here at the Nurburgring. And the tyre wear is going to be an amazingly dynamic event that's going to happen here through the course of the night, Alex. How are the tyres going to wear for the GT3s? How are the tyres going to wear for the GT4s? Can they get away with double stinting? Can they get away with a little bit of a splash and go? All of this we're waiting to find out.
Yeah, very much the case. I think one of the biggest things you said about tyre wear, here at the Nurburgring, it's a very abrasive surface, but also it's a very, very demanding track, and especially with the 2020 tyre mod that came onto Assetto Corsa Competizione. You look at the rundown from Ford to Valvoline, there's a camber to the left-hand side, so the left tyres are going to get an absolute torturing. You then go through the Michael Schumacher S's. You're going right, you're going left. You then got the NGK chicane. If you get that wrong, you put dirt on the tyres, that's going to compromise your handling, that's going to compromise your setup, and that's going to compromise your momentum, amongst other things. And it's also about having the right application. Are the gear ratios sorted out correctly for the circuit? Are the tyres up to temperature? Are the brakes up to temperature? Have you got the right amount of fuel on board? Are you on the right compound tyre to get going when the lights go green? There are so many different fastidious factors that we have to take into consideration here. And when we have such a strange start, this is a bit like the Liquid Molly Bathurst 12 hours. We're starting under nightfall at 6 a.m. in the morning. The track is going to be a little bit green, it's going to be a little bit cold, but the drivers will be prepared for it.
Yep, and just as I was away to go and talk about him, our fantastic Mike Yao from Simply Race cut straight to him, the car number 15. That is, of course, Sebastian Handler. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your GT4 pole sitter, just ahead of the number 2 car of Tom Ryer in that Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. This is going to be the battle that we'll be keeping our eye on throughout the evening. You've also got Konstantin Lozanov behind him in 31st, but third place essentially. Sorry, Christian Lozanov in third place in GT4s, but 31st on the grid. So again, we've got GT3s and GT4s getting ready as the cars make their way up through Ad Van Bogen and towards the NGK chicane.
And what you can see on the left-hand side of your screens, ladies and gentlemen, is where you've got the blue marker in the bottom right-hand corner of the number of the car. That indicates it is a GT4 vehicle. And also on the right-hand side of their numbers, you see the number 2 with an orange marker in there. That is for the amount of pit stops that they have to make mandatory. They can decide whether they're going to take tyres or fuel, whether they're going to double stint the tyres. But it looks like, David, we're about to get things underway. Looks like Petrochenko and Hosseini are bringing the field through into the Hyundai N cover for the start of 90 minutes.
Completely wrong type of racing, but boogity boys, let's go racing. Amir Hosseini and Petrochenko leading a gaggle of roaring German GT3 cars round the old Coca-Cola curve to come across the start-finish line to start 90 minutes of intense action going on just now. GT4's in the bottom right, we've got the GT3s at the top left, and here we go then. The green flag goes and away we go then. 90 minutes of racing here at the Nurburgring.
Looks like we've got a few drive-throughs already happening, courtesy of what's been happening as well. Harderveld has got a drive-through, Foscher has got a drive-through, Dupré, Lanessa. But there's been a turnaround, massive turnaround, and one of them, it looks like Ogorodnikov has been caught up in the melee going through the first corner at the Hauken. Disaster for the number 41 Mercedes.
Certainly is, and I'm pretty sure that was Ogorodnikov that was sitting beached at the Mercedes arena. So it wasn't Ogorodnikov. We've been reliably informed from our production team, so we got a little bit panicky there because we know what chat goes like if Ogorodnikov has an incident. So he is still safe, rest assured he is fine. This is the action. Side-by-side contact. Hartfeld all the way down through the grid there, and that looks like he's in amongst the GT4s there.
Yeah, he's in 41st position, David. He actually got tagged going through the Mercedes arena for the first time. And then I saw Ogorodnikov get a tag as well. So Ogorodnikov is out of position from where we would customarily see him. But you can just see the amount of GT4 flotsam and jetsam that he's got to get his way past as Hartfeld. He's now up into 38th position. There's Lukas Kreuzer. And Ogorodnikov down into P9 ahead of the number 12 of Jan-Luca Gans at the moment. So this has really changed everything. Hosseini leading by 8.6 tenths of a second ahead of Jan-Marcel Dietrich. Tobias Grunwald rounds out the top 4 with Vasilia Nufriev completing the top 5 positions.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I was expecting a wilder start to the race there, as we see Nick Balzar just deciding, nope, I'm not going to do that final chicane, and that is going to be one of his many lives lost on the track limits there. He's going to get into a little bit of trouble throughout the race if that keeps happening here. This is on board with your GT4 driver, Sebastian Handler, who loses out that lead to Tom Ryer, who looks to be in front in the in fact, though, is Florian Bauer's up there as well. So Florian Bauer's your GT4 leader.
Yeah, Handler must have got a bit caught up, and Bauer actually started 4th in this, so he was basically on the inside. Moment there as up the inside. That was a bit aggressive there from Chris Hartevelt on Sebastian Handler. Handler has lost time to both Bauer and Ryer, and I'm sure with the race control might be having a look at that one because that was a bit, I think, over-exuberant.
I think that's putting it very, very mildly, Alex. There's no need for that. Obviously, the GT4s are handicapped in terms of raw pace compared to the GT3s, but it's up to the GT3s to make their way around them in a safe and predictable manner. You just can't use them as a railing to get yourself round here. So I've got no doubt race control are notoriously strict on things like that, so I've got no doubt we'll see either a slap on the wrist or some sort of penalty coming out of that, and we'll keep you updated as soon as we get any sort of information on that. But this is Lozanov in the number 344, Christian Lozanov in the BMW. I mean, he is doing remarkably well, and if I'm not mistaken, he is actually, Alex, the leading BMW GT4 right now.
Yeah, and he's got Francis Paul Batty, and Lozanov actually qualified P3. Handler started on, I think he was on pole position, and it was Tom Heyer that was actually alongside. So Bauer's made the biggest gain of anybody in GT4 so far. And there's Alessandro Focher in the number 19. Normally runs in a different number, I think the number 14, but he's got a good... And he started P19, he's up to P13, and look who he's closing in on, the 560 of, that is Zoldatov there, Konstantin Zoldatov, as he tries to go up the inside. Now, we did see that Focher did compete, if memory might serve me correctly, when I made my debut here at the Simgrid. Quite a few other drivers did. Petrochenko did, Focher did. They made their debut at the Silverstone British Classics. Funny how things turn around, isn't it?
It certainly is, and it's fascinating to see the development of these drivers. Now, a little bit of an update for the GT3s. Grant Wilmot in the Mercedes-AMG Evo has had a bit of a moment at the, I think that was just before the Van Bogen. I was watching the track map there. He's actually away into the pits right now, so a big moment. But yeah, interesting to see what sort of damage has been caused by him. We'll do a little check on Igor Ogorodnikov, the 41 car, down in 11th place. His fan club will not be happy with that. Started in 5th place, and it's been a pretty disastrous start right now. And you see that trademark aggression across the curbs here at the Nurburgring, but it's still Amir Hosseini from Petrochenko in the lead by just about 2 seconds. I mean, that is an incredible gap that Hosseini has got already, and we're only 2 laps in. It's then Dietrich in 3rd place, half a second behind Petrochenko, and then it's Tobias Gronwald with Vasily Anufriev in 5th place, Alex.
Yeah, Hosseini's been running in the 153.8s. The Iranian's absolutely on a flyer. I mean, Petrochenko can't hold a candle to him at the moment, but in his own right, and I think Hosseini, judging by that pace, when you look at it, Petrochenko. Okay, we're going to have a look at this replay here ever so briefly now. Look at that, 5 abreast going into T1. That is absolutely crazy. And you can now see that there's one of the cars turned around. That would have been Hartfeld on the outside of the Haugaken. There's the number 23 Mercedes a little bit further down, and you can just see trying to wrestle their way through. And that's where, it's the one of the BMWs in the wall, the 23 Mercedes in the wall, and now tries to reverse. And 23 is Thiago Pereira, the sole Portuguese driver, as Ogorodnikov in the non-Evo GT3 Mercedes is now closing on Germany's Sven Rosenbaum in the Evo.
And this is a cracking little comparison side by side. We've got a car going across the grass. I hope they don't rejoin. Oh, that was so close. That was Pereira almost there as they're going side by side, Rosenbaum and Ogorodnikov. It's the old versus the new, and I think Ogorodnikov has just taken that one. Brilliant stuff. And Rosenbaum, I think, just deciding that he's going to try and defend that on another moment. This is the 518 down into turn 1, causing a little bit of contact there. That is, of course, Chris Hartfeld. And he gets absolutely
he got a turn,
from Ogorodnikov.
Hartfeld.
Yeah, that was Ogorodnikov.
And Ogorodnikov, I think, got turned. He got clobbed. I think he got a bit of a turnaround and suffered damage as a result of it. So, even with the wounded Mercedes, Ogorodnikov has absolutely got the red mist well down and truly right about now, and you can just see. So obviously after Hartfeld had his incident, Ogorodnikov I think got caught out. He got a tap, and now Ogorodnikov now closing up on Attila Denks and Jan-Luca Gans, who are just ahead, and then you've got Then you've got Balzer just ahead in the number 50. Nick Balzer, another German driver here. And there is the G Simulation Esport Audi R8 to LMS Evo. This has gotten rather frantic as now Odgorodnikov trying to send it up the inside of Jan-Luca Gantz was not even really close enough, probably not even in the local district here in Germany to get past the German on that particular occasion. But we know when he puts his mind to it, Odgorodnikov, Igor is actually like a second quicker than these guys. As now we see Bacon versus Rubelar, the paired bang door panels going through Radvan, but Bacon holds on.
Alex, I thought motorsport was supposed to be a non-contact sport, as we see Bacon deciding to absolutely ditch that final corner, and he's going to get a warning for that one. Rubelar, contact! Oh. Bacon into the wall, huge contact, and that's a big problem on the final corner.
That has involved so many drivers. I think Alexander Dorikot got involved. Look, they're dropping down. Singer in the number 621, I think, has also been affected. That was a tap from Rubelar, and that will definitely, I fear, be investigated. Thank you very much, Michael Hamlet, for saying what surname is my nemesis at the moment. Thank you very much. I got it all right up until that point. When you're at full chat, sometimes it does happen. Yeah, and brilliant! I've just seen a screenshot of let's have a repeat. Yeah, this is before the race. James Bacon said, "If anyone knows Rubelar from Sprillet 1, tell him let's have a repeat of last night." Stoking the fire, were we, James? I hope it wasn't that. Tag for Attila Danks, and that was Jan-Luca Gantz behind, and Odgorodnikov has now gotten past. More dramas in the nightfall here in Germany as Hartfeld gets a drive-through penalty. Oh my goodness me! It is like this is, and Danks and Gantz now in the pits. They're gonna repair the damage, and you can see that Attila Danks was definitely on the flashes there to Jan-Luca Gantz saying, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, this is really disappointing. We see these guys time in, time out. We've never seen a race where there've been this much contact, as we see massive amounts of aggression from James Bacon here. He is, and again, we obviously make uninformed comments about race control and penalties coming in. I've got no doubt James Bacon is going to get a penalty for the amount of aggression that he has shown here tonight. It's unreal. And for me, Attila Danks as well, when he had that accident, why are drivers not holding the brakes? They're letting the car roll across the track, and they're making it a potential for even more carnage to happen after they have the accident. I get, obviously, they're wanting to get the car rotated round and pulled round, but it's just poor. We see much better from these drivers time in, time out, so it's really disappointing so far.
Well, I mean, you know what's happened just now in the pit lane. Thank you, Michael Hamlet, for telling us this. Sportsmanship from Jan-Luca Gantz. He drove out of his pit box and then waited for Attila Danks to leave his. That just shows how sportsmanlike some drivers are, and I think that was Jan-Luca Gantz's way of saying, "Look, really sorry about that. I'm going to hold my hands up to that one. You go first."
Yeah, and that is absolute sportsmanship as well. I just noticed, obviously, you mentioned it there, Chris Hartfeld, with the drive-through penalty, and again, with the fact that the drivers race each other time in, time out, that lends itself to that sort of nature. They'll be on with each other, and they'll know that it's not really on. It's you just don't drive like that. But be interested to see what's happening up at the lead, because that time has actually started to come down with Hosseini in the lead of the GT3s. It was 2 seconds, and it's now starting to come down. Amir's pace, Alex, has dropped off significantly as we get a replay here. Here's the pit lane. This is Gantz, and you can see that there. That was deliberate. He's slowing down and waits, and you like to see that, don't you?
Yeah, I think that was the right thing for Jan-Luca Gantz to do. Petrochenko is closing on Hosseini for the lead. And look how close it is. They've just gone past one of the GT4 cars there. And Petrochenko on an absolute mission. He wants to keep his 100% winning streak going. And I'm wondering who's got the... I think Petrochenko might have the fastest lap, or possibly Hosseini. Not too sure, because now they're going to go into the left-hander here at Michelin before the right-hander at Warsteiner.
and you can just see how hooked up that Porsche is. Yellow flags out on the circuit, but Petrochenko, run wide from Hosseini, and that gives Yuri Petrochenko the opportunity he needs on lap number 7 to get through on the run down to Advan.
And I've got to be honest, that is very, very unlike him to do, for Amir Hosseini to do that. So, yeah, very, very unusual. Here is Yuri Petrochenko. He went off at the final chicane there. He holds on to the lead, but I wonder if something's catching these drivers out. I mean, could it be changing track conditions, or slightly warmer tyres, or something? But I mean, that's both of them, Petrochenko and Hosseini, that have been caught out in separate incidents about 400 yards away from each other.
Yeah, I think, to be completely honest with you, David, it is these nightfall conditions. When you look at it this way, the server is at 6:22 in the morning. It is completely pitch black. There are clouds overhead. There's no sort of possibility of any sunshine coming through in the next 30 minutes, which will put us with 45 minutes to go, around about the halfway mark of the race remaining. When you've got these sort of like LED headlights on the front of these cars, and also on the GT4 cars, which would be more production based, so maybe xenon or gas discharge headlights, you'll find these drivers will be pushing the limits, but they won't see all of the track. It's about feel. It's about how the direct drive is coming back to them, how they're feeling what the car's doing. Is it switching, going through the corners? Is the brake pedal fluctuating under braking? You just don't know what the drivers are having to cope with in these sort of kind of conditions, as the wind has picked up to 2 kph, the track temperature still 17 degrees Celsius. We are on a fast track, it's on optimum, and the drivers now really having to watch what they do. And if Hosseini and Petrochenko can get caught out by these dark conditions, what else can happen?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to be seeing over the next hour and 15 minutes. This is in picture again. We can see Alexander Raab on the back of the 237 of Boris Despres in that BMW M6, trying to make it as wide as he possibly go. I think Alexander has got more pace than Boris right now. But again, it's being able to put it across in a safe place, as we see Lucas Kreuzer. And look at that, Igor Ogorodnikov with a 10-second penalty there for, if that's the 5.8, no, it's not, it's a 10-second penalty there. So we'll find out in a second, but the 5.18 gets a drive-through. That's the one we saw earlier on. That was for jumping the start there. So we'll have to find out what that was for Igor.
Actually, there we go. We just had it come through. Incident on lap 1 involving cars 41, that's Ogorodnikov, and 5.18, that is Hartvelt, and it's 10 seconds to Igor Ogorodnikov for avoidable collision. So, ouch. Because effectively, when we saw that replay, Hartvelt was trying to cut across the front of Ogorodnikov, and the number 41 got caught out. And then that's where I think everything concertinaed, because I did see Ogorodnikov going sideways, because he got attacked from behind as well in the latter part of that first sort of carambolage, let's say, going through the Mercedes arena.
That was quite a nice word, Alex. I think I'll keep that for myself there. But I really did like that.
Hey! I might have to. I might have to.
You start trademark your catchphrases.
Hey, well, all's fair. All's fair.
Exactly. Alexander Raab still on the back of Boris Despres right here, and what a battle this has been. And it's so different from what we've seen in the past sort of 15 minutes from a lot of the other drivers. This is very measured, very precise between these two drivers. Alexander wants to get past, but he's not going to take any massive chances as they go around the outside of the number 29 there. That is Daniel Klein in the Porsche 718 Cayman, the GT4. So they're already putting the GT4s a lap down as well. But Alexander Raab is going to have to watch out, because he now also has the number 13 of Alejandro Laenza just behind him in the Audi as well. So this is a pretty spicy battle going on here, but there's also a very nice little battle brewing up in 4th place with the 52 of Tobias Grunwald. Oh, and there goes Alexander Raab up the inside after a mistake at the chicane. But yeah, what an awesome move there. And here we go, this is that battle for 3rd, 4th place. Alex, this is getting spicy right now.
Yeah, well, what's really added another dynamic is Igor Ogorodnikov has now pitted. So he was running down towards the bottom part of the top 10. He's now pitted, he's now in P12. You can see that other drivers, Banks, Gantz, they've all had their first pit stop, but Jan Massa Dietrich trying to close on Vasily Onufriev. Well, not Onufriev, my apologies there, on Hosseini. So Hosseini, we know that some drivers have really come in. Oh, turn around for Depre into the barriers, and that was Lalenza that caught him. So Lalenza got caught up in the crossfire, and Depre now running in the iconic BMW Team Schnitzer colours. That front end of that BMW M6 is definitely not first hand. That's definitely second hand.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see that on eBay in a couple of hours' time. That was a bit of damage there to that car, and I think his seat might be up for grabs as well after that one. GT3 and GT4 coming together. Oh, polystyrene bits all over the track here, and we've got is that a Porsche coming back on? That is the 37th place car just making his way back round as well. Well, Alex, what I like is that they were respectful enough to give us a whole 5 minutes of a breather before the mayhem and the hijinks just resumed.
Yeah, very true, but we've got to keep an eye on what's happening ahead, because you've got Nick Balzer and Sven Rosenbaum now battling away. This is Mercedes versus Mercedes battling away, and I think that's Zoldatov in the 560 just behind. So there's a three-way scrap. They're covered by just under 4/10 going across the line. This is the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th with an hour and 10 minutes still to go. We're going to have a look at this replay now, David.
Yeah, so you see Boris Display. Yeah, that's on display. There was no need for him to come back over at that left-hand side there. You've got in Assetto Corsa Competizione, for those that haven't played the sim, you get a spotter, a virtual spotter, which comes up as like a little radar on your screen. It's right in the middle, so you can't avoid it, and it shows you a representation of where the cars are around you, like in modern cars when you get a parking sensor. But yeah, no need to do that. Oh, contact again! And it's still keeping on going.
Rosenbaum and Zoldatov were banging door panels, and they had Rosenbaum was trying to go defensive. Zoldatov thought he was, and they got more traffic up ahead. The thing is that Balzer is circumnavigating this so well, whereas because of the fact that Rosenbaum is having to defend from Zoldatov, who clashes with the German again. Oh, they're going to cause more carnage, and they turn around the number 9 of Reynoso from the sole Uruguayan driver in the BMW through Dunlop. That has caused absolute drama for Rosenbaum, who was far from happy about that one. Zoldatov was trying to force the issue. He went up the inside through Dunlop, turned Rosenbaum around, and then Juan Reynoso got also tagged in all that melee.
I've got to be honest, Alex. I'm about 5 minutes away from going into their Discord voice chat and going absolutely crazy at them right now. This is just bonkers behaviour from drivers really that should know a lot better and do know a lot better. It's disappointing to see the lack of respect. Not just that, I mean, they didn't go into that thinking they were going to take out the GT4, right? That wasn't their intention, but they didn't care. They were too wrapped up in their own battle to think about the other cars that were getting caught up in that. And now, because of that, they've just pretty much, torpedoed a poor GT4 car as a result of that. Really disappointing driving there from some, from drivers that really should know a little bit better.
I think it's, what are we now? We're nearly 22 minutes into this 90-minute race here at the Nurburgring. And to be completely honest with you, I mean, let's take a look at GT4s at the moment. Tom Hyatt is now leading from Christian Lozanov, Sebastian Handler, who took pole position. Those three are now covered by, 6.6 seconds approximately. Paul Batty, Nick Babin rounding out the top 5. So some of the drivers at the sharp end of the grid are doing a better job than some of the other drivers, maybe say towards the bottom of the top 10 in their respective classes. I mean, I would have expected a lot better from Zoldatov there.
Yeah, there was absolutely no need for that at all. And Yeah, again, we're completely separate from race control who make the decisions about the penalties. So it's nice because we can obviously have our opinion on what's said there, but that's all it is. It's opinions. He needs to get the book thrown at him for that one. There was no need for it. 20 minutes into a 90-minute race, you've potentially ruined a GT4 cars race there, and the move was never on anyway. That's what makes it a little bit more ridiculous. But hey, it's multi-class racing. Let's just hope they can all calm down and just start focusing a little bit more and being a little bit more aware of their surroundings.
I think also what you're now seeing from Rosenbaum, as he's now closing on Yves Filt in the number 42 Porsche, the Swiss driver, you can see Rosenbaum is just absolutely throwing that car through the corners like nobody's business. He is driving angry as Alessandro Focher now gets a drive-through penalty. So you can now see as Rosenbaum now pits. I think that would have been Mertz just behind David Mertz in the number 78 Porsche, just behind, also pitting. So this will drop the pair outside of the top 10. It has done. But Petrichenko now has a 2.7 second lead. We've got another penalty coming through. A penalty now going to Alessandro Focher. This was a drive-through for an incident on lap 2 involving cars 78. That was David Mertz, Alessandro Focher, and then the 36 of Baptiste Capicot. So, Focher has now got another 2 pit stops to make, because doing a drive-through, you can't go into your pit box, no repairs can be affected, no tyre change, no fuel. You've got to go back around again as Rosenbaum now has exited pit lane.
Yeah, I'm just saying Rosenbaum actually looks like the furthest ahead driver, the 777 of Sven Rosenbaum in that Mercedes AMG Evo. So he's got one of his 2 pit stops in the book already. So he's in a reasonable position. It'll be interesting to see how many places he can make. But Konstantin Soldatov making his way around the track here. Again, look at how late he's leaving it to get by these GT4 cars. And massive aggression right there. Tom Rare in the GT4s right now, getting passed by the GT3 of Gary Little. The 316 of Grant Wilmot, and we saw Grant Wilmot having a moment earlier on in the race, so he's making his way back on a recovery drive right now. And it's been a decent, if not quieter, race for Tom Rare, because he's just been plodding away and just putting the lap times in.
Yeah, very much the case. I mean, he's 3.9 seconds ahead of Christian Lozanov. Sebastian Handler, further 3.6 seconds adrift. Paul Batty again in the top 4. I mean, looking at previous efforts from the French driver, Throwback Thursday in Split 2, he was P1, and then also he was P4 at the Stacked Out Spa Spectacular multi-class that we had, and he was running the McLaren 570S. As now Focher now pits for his drive-through. That's going to be allowing the likes of Eckstein and Capicot through, as there is Capicot. He's actually got past Eckstein going through, but Eckstein looking to put the Porsche around the outside. This is the battle for P10 on the road, and Baptiste Capicot has now got it for the moment.
Yeah, I thought he might have been under danger there from the cutback there, but beautiful move there from Capicot to get that move and make it stick there. And that Audi looking very nimble there. We've got 4 Audis in the top 10 on the road once the pit stops shuffle their way through. And he's doing a fantastic job to make that move stick and to keep that Porsche behind him right now. Just over an hour left to go in our very first German Cup night here at the SimGrid. Huge thank you to our commercial partners, to Coach Dave Academy and to Thrustmaster as always for making these events possible. And if you do want to get yourself involved with the community, head over to thesimgrid.com and get yourself signed up for some of our daily races, as well as our brand new championships that we've got on the go here at the SimGrid, including our brand new announced Season 2 of the World Cup with an incredible $20,000 cash prize pool over the 2 splits and the 5 rounds. So, you know, something there for everyone coming up in the weeks and months ahead. Keep an eye on simgrid.com for more details on when the dates open and when the entries open for that one. This is Marco Eckstein in the CHF Motorsport 81 car, currently down in 11th place. We saw that fantastic move from Capricorn in the Audi R8 Evo. Baptisto looking very, very fast indeed. This is Nick Balzar, who's just ahead of Konstantin Soldatov, a mile away from Vasily Anufriev right now. And he's been absolutely dropped back there in that 6th place there, Alex. And Konstantin looking very, very menacing indeed.
Yeah, I mean, Anufriev has been about a second a lap quicker than Nick Balzar at Soldatov. I mean, you know, we've seen how aggressive he has been through the first 28 minutes, and there is Sven Rosenbaum now back out in 18th position. And look who he's actually not too far behind, the number 41 of Igor Ogorodnikov. So this is a battle for position. And the number 41 has already taken a first pit stop. So Rosenbaum at the moment, in terms of his outlap was a 2-minute 35.9, including the pit stop. So to be that quickly on the pace, he'll know about the way that the Mercedes will happen. This is Evo versus non-Evo. So it depends on whether Ogorodnikov has got the got that pace on Rosenbaum, but Rosenbaum's charged up, I think.
I think he has, and what you have to remember is the non-Evo car, the non-Evo Mercedes, Alex, really struggled with tyre grain here at Nurburgring. It really, really did get hobbled by about maybe say 15, 20 laps in. I think that's what we're seeing here. Maybe Rosenbaum in the new Evo Mercedes not being affected by that. In fact, just as I'm saying that, I'm then realising that both these drivers have pitted, so that actually wouldn't explain the sudden burst in pace that we've seen from Rosenbaum. And to be fair to Igor Ogorodnikov there, I mean, it's disappointing for him because this is yet another night where things haven't gone his way and he's just found himself going backwards.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's part of racing. You learn by whatever happens. And of course, yeah, he got a 10-second penalty for that tag with Hartwelt that we saw, you know, on the very first lap. And, you know, with regards to if you're putting fuel and tyres on, you've got to wait in the pit stop box for an additional 10 seconds before any work can go on your vehicle. And that's what I think has scuppered the number 41's chances of getting anywhere towards the sharp end of the grid. You know, he qualified in the top 5 and now he's all the way down in 17th position. But he's got away from Rosenbaum to the tune of 1.6 seconds. So I don't think, you know, we've got just under an hour of this race left to go, David, and there's still time. Yeah,
there absolutely is. I'm just watching Yves Field here in the Porsche 991, just on the back of Konstantin Soldatov. I am genuinely getting very, very nervous when I'm watching Konstantin right now because he is so aggressive in that car. And I think it's actually starting to cost him a little bit of time because look at Field in that 42 Porsche. He is catching quite quickly and potentially going to be taking that 7th place on. They're being held up right now by the number 50 of Nick Balzar in the Mercedes AMG Evo as we cross the hour to go mark here. And this is quite a tasty little battle now that we've had developing for 6th place right now. All 3 of these drivers, remember, need to do their first pit stop. Konstantin gets it very, very wide, just holds it on at the exit of the chicane. Of course, he's going to put the boot in and try and keep going on. And wow, that was a save and a half right now. But Yves Field is going to go and take that slipstream. Wow. This is nail-biting stuff because it's going to be on the run down to turn 1 here. Konstantin is going to be very, very late on the brakes, try and push that car as wide as it possibly can, hits the apex, but surely Field is going to have a decent run out of the exit of the corner there. Soldatov plants it on the inside, and I've got to be honest, I think he's going to live to tell that tale another day. But look at Yves Field, tries to nip it up the inside. Konstantin Soldatov and Yves Field side by side. Amazing racing. More of this, please, gentlemen. This is the type of racing that we do want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that Soldatov went completely sideways coming out of the second part of the NGK chicane
And also, you've got Jan-Luca Gans and Attila Denks battling away over position. And Denks has got the move around the outside of the Hauke, and that's brave if ever I saw it in the Audi. Denks may have lost the place, but he's trying to keep ahead of the number 12 from Germany. And you can see just how close it is. They're going to go into the right-hander now. Jan-Luca Gans could have the advantage, but Attila Denks absolutely nailed the curb on the right-hander coming out of the Mercedes arena, and he got the job done. That was a brilliant drive there from Attila Denks to get past Jan-Luca Gans.
Yeah, very, very clever driving. And also from Jan-Luca Gans, you've got to say as well, he did take his foot off the pedal there, because you saw he was millimetres away from making contact, and the pair of them had the awareness. That's what we want to see as they go flying up the inside of a GT4 car. That is not what you want to see on the braking point of into Dunlop curve there. But yeah, great to see. And it'll be interesting to see this little battle rage on, because I don't think it's over. Jan-Luca Gans, very, very fast driver, and I think he will be trying to make his way back over over Attila Denks there, and a GT4 car just unfortunately makes its way in the middle of it, and I think that costs him a little bit of a second there, and I think that is going to break the toe. Back with Soldatov and Field here though, Alex. This is a brilliant fight we've got going on here, because Field is having absolutely none of it. Soldatov, I think his tyres are done. I think his car is screaming out to get some new boots on that thing, but all credit to Soldatov. His defensive driving is absolutely on par. He is making that Mercedes as wide as he possibly can, Alex.
Yeah, just coming back briefly to that car that was between Denks and Gans, that was actually Sebastian Handler in the number 15 Porsche GT4. But yeah, Yves Field from Switzerland in the CHF Motorsport Porsche, now getting a good run of momentum going down into Dunlop. Soldatov goes towards the outside to swing the car back in and rotate it through Dunlop. That's neatly done by the number 560, but just keep your eyes on what's happening ahead. They've got the 38th place car. That is Alexander Dudarev that they just got past. Oh, Easfeld gets compromised going through. The Schumacher S is there. Oh my goodness me! And then that was a BMW ahead, and then one of the other GT. That's the 25th place car. That is Grant Wilmot that's just managed to unlap himself past the number 42 from Switzerland. But that BMW, I think Field was closing on Soldatov and just caught out.
Well, I think Wilmot, safe to say, has been taken off the Christmas card list from Field right now. And to be fair to Wilmot, I mean, he's on pace right now as they go into the final corner here. And that poor BMW GT4 car gets a bit of a rude awakening there from Wilmot, and I think there was a little bit of a nudge there of impatience as the two of them go side by side across the start-finish line there, and Field is going to have that all to do again. Just 2.7 seconds behind Konstantin Soldatov, but remember, I mean, Konstantin still has that contact hanging over his head. What, if anything, is race control going to do about that in the next 54 minutes?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, there's so much. They're going to be looking at it from every different angle, different replays, looking at the data that can be registered through Assetto Corsa Competizione. So there's so much. There'll be brake, throttle inputs, steering inputs. There'll be so many different things as we now go back to Paul Batti in the number 16 Mercedes AMG GT4. He's currently running in P4 in the class at the moment, with Tom Heyer leading, Christian Ozanov, Sebastian Handler, with Paul Batti in fourth and Nick Babin running out the top 5 positions. And then you've got, I think that's Jens Kaiser in the 991 Porsche rounding out the top 6. But still, Paul Batti, whenever he's got in a GT4 car, he's been running in the top 5. Like I said earlier on with the Spa multiclass, he finished in the top 5 in split 1. He's on course for a very good finish at the moment, even though we've still got 53.5 minutes of this race to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that he's almost Mr. Consistency with the fact that he's able to just throw himself into a GT4 car and get consistent, those top 5 finishes, as you mentioned there, Alex. But, it's not a bad race to be behind Sebastian Handler and Tom Rare, because remember, 53 minutes left to go. You're setting yourself up in a good position for that final sprint. For the potentially the undercut, he could have a cracking strategy on the go where he's still got 2 pit stops left to do. Like the remainder of the GT4 drivers, he could potentially be trying to pull a fast one over them.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Betty is clawed up 5 places. He started P9, so on row 5 in GT4. But we go now back to Nick Baltz and Konstantin Soldatov for what is 6th position. And if I'm honest with you, David, I don't think Soldatov's tyres are quite done yet. I mean, if he's keeping within half a second of Baltz, he's going to wait for the number 50 to pit first and then maybe do the undercut. But it just depends on how badly degraded his tyres are. You can just see that Soldatov's quite neat in some respects going through the corners, like through Ford curve. He nailed the apex there. He's keeping the car to the left-hand side, going into Dunlop, hitting the brakes. They've got a GT4 Porsche. That is the 22 of Florian Bauer just up ahead. And that was nearly 2 wheels on the grass going through the Michael Schumacher-S's for Zoldatov, and that's lost him time. You said he was aggressive. We've just seen that on board, and that's proved it in spades for Zoldatov. He's an aggressive driver, but he does have a lot of precision to his game.
Yeah, to be fair to Soldatov there, that was a little bit naughty from the GT4 car. It was on his right-hand side, faster car obviously, should have just let him have the room and then jump back in, but I think potentially tried to force an issue that wasn't there. 100% a racing incident, no sort of harm coming from that. It's just going to really, I think, wind Soldatov up even more, and we saw him a couple of laps ago having that wild lap, that wild moment out of the chicane, Alex, and again, it doesn't sort of bode well for trying to calm him down out of that aggressive driving. Meanwhile, we've got all hell kicking off coming out of the Van Boken corner here. 2 GT4 cars and a GT3 car trying to make its way by.
Yeah, it looks to be that is Grigori Mossman and Reynoso might be embroiled in that, as it looks like. Well, I've just heard that seen that Tobias Grönwald from Germany has just pitted from P5, so he's taken the earliest opportunity he has felt is necessary. So you've got Eckstein and Zuger in the Porsches there going into the Haughaken. So they've just managed to get past Mossman and Renaultso on that particular occasion. But the sun now, David, with it is going to bring track temperature as Grönwald exits the pits. We are now up a degree, up to 18 degrees Celsius. The server now hitting 6:48 a.m. local time here at the Nurburgring.
Well, you have the German descendancy running through your veins, Alex. What delights can we expect from a German breakfast here in the virtual commentary box?
Well, it depends on which part of Germany you're in. Normally you'll have a breakfast buffet at a hotel, or if you're in Bavaria, you'll normally have something called Weisswurst, which is like a breakfast sausage, which you normally have with mustard. I've not had one myself personally because I haven't spent much time in Bavaria in my travels, but I've just been informed we've got another penalty being given. This time it is to... I was waiting for this to happen. Chris Rubilar has just had a 10-second penalty thrown his way for avoidable contact with Mr. Crispy James Bacon, of course.
Yeah, so the chicken's coming home roosting. What on earth did I just see out the corner of my eye there? The 14th place car, that Porsche, having all sorts of problems trying to get across. We've got a BMW getting back onto track here, and yeah, this is starting to look a little bit dicey with these cars here, Alex. So we'll let that calm down a little bit, try and let them sort themselves. Of course, we've got a Porsche over in the side there. Yeah, this is just a normal race, isn't it?
Sorry, that Porsche's just taken out the Pirelli signboard, and that was Denks and Gantz I just saw battling away, as that is one of the Mercedes going into the pits just now. That looks to be possibly... I saw there was a 4 on the number board. I couldn't quite... that was... Odgoroganov. It's the surname that is my nemesis at the moment. One that has caught me out since I've been here on SimGrid. I'm just going to call him Igor for the moment. I'm going to have to learn that surname.
Now, see, the great thing is, Alex, is that I can sit here chuckling about that because I did that exact thing. I spent 4 races trying to perfect how to spell or how to pronounce his name, and then still got an absolute lampooning from chat because I was pronouncing it Igor instead of Igor. Oh, but wow, what is going on here? That is the 15th place car of the 50. That's Nick Balzar trying to go right the outside of a GT4 car and getting held up. Wow. That is wild.
That was great. Oh, and Zoldatov's gone off at the Schumacher S's. He's a very lucky boy, that number 560. Hosseini's now in the pits from P3, so Jan-Marcel Dietrich will now slot into second position. This will give Anufiyev the opportunity to be up into the top 3. So Petrochenko and Zoldatov now pits after 22 laps. And there is... that could have been probably for that new Nomex requirement needed through the Michael Schumacher S's, I believe.
Code brown, I believe, is the technical term for that one. 47 minutes left to go in the race, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the German Cup race here on the SimGrid. David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt taking you through all of the action tonight. It's the number 26 of Yuri Petrochenko in the Porsche 991, currently leading the way in the GT3s from the number 85 of Jan-Marcel Dietrich in second place. It's Samir Hosseini, who jumps into pit lane, who was having a fantastic race there, but jumps into pit lane for his first of 2 pit stops tonight on the race, as that hands place to Vasily Anufiyev. And we are watching Christian Lozanov, who has had a fairly decent race in the 344 outfit in the GT4s. He's got that's Lucas Kreuzer just going up the inside, Alex. But I've got to be honest, Christian has done fairly well in that BMW.
Well, you remember what he did at Spa in the Aston Martin. I think he's employing the same tactic, because look at where Tom Heyer and Sebastian Handler and also Daniel Klein are at the minute. Florian Bauer, they've all made their first pit stop. So Lozanov could be going long in that BMW. It's got good pace around here at the Nurburgring, the BMW M4 GT4. So it's just dependent on how long Lozanov decides to stretch out that first stint, and that could be crucial to effectively, proverbially speaking, break the camel's back here at the Nurburgring in GT4.
Alex, have a look at P23 right now. Igor Ogorodnikov has gone green. He is the first man on the track to have done both pit stops, and he will be a very, very interesting watch. Now, that means he's got to try and survive 45 minutes on a set of tyres. I think he can do that as long as he can drive smooth and within the ability of the car. If he starts pushing that car too hard, they're going to start graining, they're going to start overheating, and they're going to start falling away from him. But Igor Ogorodnikov has rolled the dice. He was in a very difficult position, and I think that is a very, very smart move from the number 41. So we will keep our eyes peeled to see how he can do on this one. I think for sure that is going to set him up for going into the top 10 anyway, but we'll see how that goes over the next 45 minutes, Alex.
I completely agree. I think, look at it this way. The Evo and the non-Evo Mercedes, as I've just seen that Chris Zuger, Swiss driver in the number 25, is now pitted, as has Jan-Luca Gantz, and it looks like Gantz is going early to get that other pit stop out of the way. So the Evo and the non-Evo Mercedes are pretty much matched on pace, and we know what Igor is capable of. We've seen it before, we've seen it time and time again, and even though he might be down in 23rd position, he's 8.3 seconds off of the number 14 Audi in 22nd position. The thing is that Igor could really put in the lap times and start taking the life of those tyres out early, but then if he can keep it consistent through the second phase of that last stint, he's got a real opportunity here, and it depends on what everyone else does.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to keep an eye on over the next 45 minutes. Your race leader into the pits then, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the German Cup night here on SimGrid. If you like what you see here on YouTube, remember to hit that like button, and also if you want to hit subscribe and the little notification bell, you will get notified every time we go live with all of our amazing events here over at SimGrid. And if you want to join in the community, head over to thesimgrid.com. We do amazing daily races that we are bringing out, a new competition platform for Assetto Corsa Competizione, as well as these stunning regular competitions and championships as well. So splits for all abilities. Get yourself involved and we will see you on track. We've got a stop-go penalty for number 81 of Marco Eckstein. 30-second pit lane speeding infringement. That is silly and very, very naughty, Alex.
Very much the case as now. There's Amir Hosseini now coming across the line. Nick Balta is in the pits, so Hosseini will now keep into second place. But Hosseini has closed the gap. He's mustered up a bit more lap time in the last few moments or so. And Hosseini will now be on that charge in the number 92. He's running the Evo version. So we'll see how quickly Amir Hosseini closes up on Yuri Petrychenko, who is looking to keep that winning streak alive. It's 1 for 1 at the moment. He wants to make it 2 for 2 and keep the 100% winning streak. But what will happen in 42 minutes and 20 seconds? Well, we're still waiting to find out with bated breath.
Now, Petrychenko did just get held up behind a GT4 car there. He's just a way to go and make his move on the run down to the Dunlop curve. And that gap looks to be about, 2.5 seconds between Petrychenko. It's 2 seconds, actually. I'm quite pleased with that. Between Petrychenko and Hosseini. But Petrychenko is he's limping right now. He's on cold tyres. He needs a couple of laps to get them up to speed and up to temperature. And Hosseini just blitzes by that GT4 car as they're on the run down to Michelin curve. And this is great work for Hosseini, setting himself up and really applying that much needed pressure to Petrychenko.
Well, I'm going to throw a dark horse in here. I'm going to say something here that this will be words to Michael Hamlet's ears. Keep your eyes on Attila Danks. He's got no more pit stops to make. Neither has Jan-Luca Gantz in 22nd position. And we've got another penalty coming through. Incident between cars 15 and 22. That is Sebastian Handler and Florian, and that is Bauer. And the pole position driver from GT4 gets a 15-second time penalty for causing an avoidable collision. So Sebastian Handler back on the back foot again.
Yep, and I've got a feeling that we're going to be very busy in the next 10 minutes with these penalties coming through, because there was quite a lot of early incidents that we saw there. We're only on lap 8, so obviously race control having to review those incidents in the biggest possible detail that they possibly can. Alessandro Fokker for the Rivetto Racing Team at number 19 just now, just making his way through some traffic just now as well. But cracking battle here for 4th place right now, because this is Tobias Gronveld in the number 52 Mercedes AMG Evo, fighting it out with the number 77, the Audi R8 Evo of Vasily Anufriev. And Anufriev is someone that we talk about quite a lot here, but he's had a bit of a quiet race. He's just been keeping himself out of the drama and just sort of ploughing in the laps. So he's definitely one of my dark horses for getting an undercut and getting onto the podium right now. Konstantin Soldatov trying to get his way past, I believe, is that Boris that he's trying to get through just now?
No, that's number the 83. Dobes that's just up ahead. Josef Dobes, one of the German drivers here. But I think Vasily Anufriev had a bit of a learning curve at the Spa multiclass when he went up the inside. If you remember correctly, David, Niels van der Kerkelt, they had that coming together going through La Source. I think Vasily Anufriev is driving a more strategic race. And you look how far behind he is on Grunwald. Just under 0.8 of a second. Anufriev just needs to start chipping away at that gap. He doesn't need to do anything silly. As now Konstantin Soldatov goes around the outside of Sebastian Handler, and Dobes is on old tyres. Soldatov put on a fresh set of boots, and we have just seen on the weather, look, the Eifel region has its own microclimate, just like the Ardennes forest. David, we could have 9 minutes possibility of rainfall here at the Nurburgring. That would be rather intense, as Nick Baltzer closing on Sven Horsenbaum. These two are battling for position. It's for 6th, and Horsenbaum at the moment is staying ahead. as they now cross the line once again. The gap between them, 2/10. Then you've got Evesfield in the number 42 Porsche just behind. So another three-way scrap. Up the inside goes Balzer on Rosenbaum through the Haughaken, and the number 50 makes the move nice and clean.
Yeah, Rosenbaum really left that door open way too early to defend that place. It makes you think that he just sort of accepted handing over that place to Nick Balzar in the MRL Sim Racing number 50. And he's going to have to be careful because he's going to have Evesfield in the number 42 Porsche on his tail, if not past him. There we go, Evesfield already past him. So Rosenbaum dropping like a stone through the order, and he's got fresh tyres on, so yeah, that is a bit concerning to see him falling so far back. This is Boris Desprez in the 237 BMW right now. Now he is actually in the GT3 class just now, but he still has 2 pit stops left to do, so I think it's safe to say that he's running well out of position right now, and he is going to drop very heavily through the order once he starts making his pits as he goes round the outside of GT4. We see a Mercedes absolutely rocketing its way past him on the inside there. That was awesome stuff there.
That was Hosseini. Amir Hosseini, which just literally fired up the inside of Boris Desprez there. And you now see that Anufiyev, look how close he is to Grunwald. The battle for 4th place very much on. And they are on the same strategy as well. But the biggest thing is the strategy is going to be thrown out of the window, David. Not if, it's going to be when the rain hits. We are, what? We're going to hit, sort of about 10 minutes to go. The rain will more than likely come. And that will bring us to an absolute mess of people. We're probably going to have people literally flying into the pit boxes and having to wait. And that could really turn this race upside down on its head.
It could, but just from the look of the weather forecast, given that it means that in the next half hour we are going to potentially see rain, I don't know. It depends if it's heavy enough, because if it's just 10 minutes to go and it's a bit of drizzle or it's some moderate rain, I think you'll actually see some of these guys staying on their tyres until it gets to the point where wets would be actually faster. So I don't think we'll see tyre changes necessarily, but I think the drama level and the intensity and the excitement are going to go through the roof for sure.
Well, if anyone remembers a certain ADAC 24 hours of the Nurburgring where there was hail, there was a hailstorm, it kicked up like a big one, that's how quickly the track can change here at the Nurburgring. I'm not counting, I've seen it before when I've commentated in Belgium and in Germany in real life in karting. I've seen it where temperatures might have gone up, but then the thunderstorms and the rainstorms come in. There's any chance that rain could either be slight to absolutely biblical. You can't, you don't, sometimes I've even been amazed when I've just gone like, hang on, it was 25 degrees, we've now gone to 13 and it's absolutely wet. And great weather for ducks. That's how quickly it can change. As now Anufiyev going side by side with Grunwald out of the final turn, trying to go towards the Haughaken. This is for P4. Grunwald, look how close he was. I'm not too sure, but it looked like there was a bit of a moment there for Grunwald trying to get ahead of Anufiyev. But Anufiyev trying to get the switchback now on the Mercedes. The Audi mid-engine rear-wheel drive trying to go towards the next part of the Mercedes arena. But Grunwald still keeps it pinned. But Anufiyev is not giving up yet here, David.
Oh, he certainly isn't, and I've got to be honest, Anufiyev throwing every single book that he can find at Grunwald, and 100% there was contact on that start-finish straight, completely unintentional, and I'll guarantee Grunwald would have had a proper need to change some Nomex underpants right there, but yeah, great racing from these two, pushing it to the absolute limit, and then some right now. So great racing. And Anufiyev dropping back a little bit. He's going to have to regroup and think again on how he's going to get past Grunwald, because what you've got to remember is that poor GT4 car on the exit of the Coca-Cola curve just had them to either side of them after the chicane there. Crazy move, and they made it stick very safely indeed. This is the battle though for 6th and 7th place, and Evesfield in the 42 Porsche just looking so quick right now, because we saw him absolutely munch the lead from Rosenbaum. He just got straight past him like he wasn't even there, and now he's right onto the back of Nick Balzar. So great work from Field, and I'll be interested to see how he's going to make that one stick, Alex.
Yeah, we've just had another penalty issued by Race Control. Incident on lap 9 involving the number 79, that is Grigory Mostman, and then Nicole Scheidler in the 202. Mostman gets a 15-second time penalty for causing a collision.
Yeah, you hate to see it. Again, I think we're going to be very, very busy in the next couple of minutes as these, again, that's lap 9 now, so we're starting to make our way through. But when you think of how much we've seen in the past almost an hour now of the race, they're going to be very, very busy in Race Control. Just a little bit of an update there. We saw Alexander Dudarev having a bit of a moment, causing a yellow flag there towards the end of the circuit. I believe he's now pulled off into pit lane, so that could be a retirement for Alexander Dudarev here. But we'll keep our eye with two battles picture here. Amazing work from Mike Yao on our production team here for the Sim Grid, as the GT3 battle is getting very, very interesting indeed. Anupriev and Balzar and Field going side by side. Field tries to get the cut back. They're going to be on the run up towards, I believe this is the Schumacher S's. It is. It's going to be Balzar on the inside. Phil's going to go and try and ride the outside. It's actually, that's the Michelin curve, isn't it? On the run down. I've completely got lost.
Valvoline into Ford.
There we go.
The most interesting thing is they're running down to Dunlop through this Parabolica-esque type straight like in Hockenheim. Balzar has not been actually overtaken on track. Yvesfield has been, apart from Yvesfield, also Konstantin Zoltov have been the two closest drivers. You've had Sven Rosenbaum being in the mix there as well to try and get past the number 50. But Nick Balzar has made that Mercedes as wide as humanly possible. They've got as Field trying to go up towards the inside. This is through into the NGK chicane. They've got the GT. No, that was through Michelin, through into the right at Warsteiner. Balzar has hung on to it as we see picture in picture. I cannot believe that. Balzar, I think, has definitely got my vote for driver of the evening here at the Nurburgring. Just has planted that Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo exactly where he's needed to. And Field hasn't got an answer. Then you look at the bottom right-hand corner, and Nufriev has no answer for Tobias Grunwald. So these are two battles for position. This is fourth, the battle for fourth and sixth. You can see that Grunwald and Nufriev have both got significant amount of backmarker traffic, a lot of GT4s in the way. But at the moment, Grunwald's still holding on to fourth position. As you can see, the spits of flame from the exhaust of the number 50 of Nick Balzar going through into the Haughaken. This is completely unrelenting. We've got just over half an hour of this race remaining. David, we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet at all, mate.
We definitely are not. And Nick Balzar, the one word I would describe that Mercedes is thick with a double C right now, because that thing is so wide. There ain't nothing getting past that tonight. And Yvesfield, unfortunately, he can throw the kitchen sink, but it's not going to work, because this is an absolute masterclass from Nick Balzar in defensive driving. And I'm touching the desk here as I say that, because it was looking a little bit like Field was going to fight it up the inside. Now, here's the interesting point, Alex. What has happened to Amir Hosseini? That gap was about 2 seconds. It's now dropping. Hosseini is now 4.4 seconds behind Petrochenko. A huge thank you to Jorge Villar on pointing that one out. But fourth place, Grunwald and Onufriev. There's going to be a big lot of traffic coming up right now.
Yeah, oh look, oh my goodness me, that was Chris Rubelar ahead of Thomas Grunwald going through the exit of the NGK chicane. That has really compromised the number 52 Mercedes. There is Vasily Onufriev waiting to strike like Shere Khan in the reeds in Jungle Book. But you can just see that Audi's got a real good tow going down the main straightaway. And as you say, with Nick Balzar still holding on as Grunwald goes to the inside, keeps it. But Vasily Onufriev trying to go around the outside of the Mercedes, and look, and they're all. And I think that was Depre that's just got turned around again, going through the Mercedes arena. There were 4 of them squabbling over the same bit of traffic, and Depre got ejected stage right. That French driver has had no luck at all in the 237 Schnitzer. And I think Grunwald was probably breathing a big sigh of relief when that all happened and he managed to get through it all.
All I'm going to say at that one is, medic! That was, 3 cars got absolutely nuked at that corner there. And I've got to be honest, that is really, really lucky for Balzar and Phil, because they were catching up to them at a rate of knots. And it's difficult to know where to look, because you've got Grunwald and Anuferev, and you've got Balzar and Phil in our picture-in-picture here. So this is the battle, obviously, for 4th and 5th in the picture-in-picture in the bottom right. And we can see Phil looking very, very tight on the rear end of Anuferev. And this is what I like. This is really, really just sort of that disciplined driving from these drivers. They're not like earlier where we were saying cars just throwing it up left, right and centre for the sake of it. They're waiting, they're being very cautious, and they're putting the cars in front of them under the most extreme pressure you could imagine. Alex, if this was me in front, I would be into the wall within 2 laps.
Yeah, but look at Anuferev. He has just bided his time. And look how close he's getting to Grunwald. They're going through the NGK chicane. Grunwald nearly makes a mistake going through the second part on the right-hand side. He nearly took a bit too much curb, and that could have been a track cut. But Anuferev, he's driving smart. He's not driving hard. He's driving smart. He's keeping Grunwald, knowing that he's there. As we're with Phil at the moment, they're now going into the NGK chicane. Balzar, that rear end on that Mercedes is wider than the Mexican wall at the moment, because he's absolutely done a sterling job so far. We've still got 27 minutes. These two are under 0.2 of a second apart. They're just about to come up to one of the GT4s ahead. That could be Sebastian Handler that I've just pitted. As I've just seen, Sven Rosenbaum has now got a 15-second penalty. We're just going to wait to hear from race control what that was for. That may be for a possible incident, whether that's between him and Zolotov, because Zolotov is now a 1.5 seconds off of the German.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a case of we wait with bated breath to find out the background for that one. Michael Hamlet furiously typing away, so we've got to say a huge thank you to him for keeping us updated on all of these race control messages coming through here. But what a battle we've got going on right now. Nick Balzar and Yves Veld for the 6th and 7th position. And remember, this is almost certainly going to be decided in pit lane. Balzar is making that Mercedes as wide as he possibly can, so barring a mistake, I think Field is going to have to try and outwit him in the pit lane to get his way past. They've got a GT4 car that they're trying to get past just now. Oh, and that's concertinaed up Balzar. Something wrong. Oh, getting forced wide. And that was a little bit unnecessary, and I think there was a bit of contact there from Field. Normally, I would be like all up in arms on that one, and the GT4 car is obviously frustrated, flashing their lights. I've got to say they deserve that one. They have to let the cars through and not get in the way. But look at that, Anuferev. Oh, contact! Oh! Unbelievable contact between Anuferev and Grunwald gets sent around, and he's just pushed him round. So Anuferev actually saved Grunwald there, because Grunwald was spinning, and Anuferev actually pointed him back in the right direction, Alex.
Yeah, well, the incident that we just saw, you probably just saw on your screens just a moment ago with the 15 seconds for Sven Rosenbaum. It was avoidable contact between him, number 9 of Juan Reynoso, and then also Konstantin Zolotov. That earlier incident where we saw that Zolotov was trying to be a bit aggressive, but I think it was the fact that Rosenbaum, I think, may have turned in a bit too early, shut the door, and Zolotov was within the right line. If he was half a car length up the inside, he would have made the move and probably got it done. But yeah, I think the phrase in German I'm going to say on behalf of Tobias Grunwald is, "Oh, God save Dank." When he got saved by Vasily Anuferev, he said, "Oh, thank God for that." It's just, there are so many things going through my mind, and the next 24 minutes and 20 seconds, I have absolutely no idea who's going to blink first, because David, the top 10 have yet to make their final pit stop, and Sven Rosenbaum will be the one on the back foot, because before he has his pit stop, he's got an automatic 15-second hold in that pit box before they can start working on the vehicle.
Yep, and on that note, it then brings that man down in 11th place, number 41 of Igor Ogorodnikov, into the top 10 without a shadow of a doubt, as Eve's field goes a little bit wide at the chicane there. But yeah, this man here, Igor Ogorodnikov, has played an absolute blinder with the strategy. He gets himself back on that recovery drive, of course, was caught out in the first couple of laps, sent all the way back down the grid, had that time penalty on him as well, and still manages to get himself back into the top 10. Inspired drive, and yeah, that's going to be awesome. Right, here we go, seconds out, ding ding, round 2, Rosenbaum and Soldatov. We're going to go at it again, and I've got to be honest, Alex, I'm a bit scared here.
It's a bit like Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed again. Oh, that was a moment and a half for Rosenbaum, and he loses it on the NGK chicane. How the hell did he and Soldatov... Look, they're trying to go side by side into the pit entrance. That's ridiculous. I've never seen that before.
Wow.
And Soldatov's like going, yeah, it's just like Soldatov decided to late brake Rosenbaum in the pit stop phase. That was absolutely priceless. It was like, yeah, remember me?
That is some proper psychological warfare there, and nothing more, because remember, Rosenbaum is 15 seconds to the worse on that time penalty, and we've got a car facing the wrong way in the middle of the track there, just gets his way off the track in no more. Oh my goodness me, my heart absolutely stopped there, Alex.
Yeah, that was one of the BMWs. I'm wondering if it was Reynoso in the M4 GT4 that might have been the car that had that moment there, because there was you could see a little bit of jittering. It looks like there might have been a slight lag spike there as well, possibly. So that would have been. I've just had that affirmed as well by Michael Hamlet. Thank you, Michael, as always, for your great information that we always get. But Phil still not able to get past Balzer, and they still have a pit stop to make. But Balzer nearly had a moment there going through the Schumacher S's. Phil could do the first on-track manoeuvre, and he's trying to go around the outside of Balzer. And he's got the move done. Has he got the move done? He's got the inside run going through the... No, hang on, wait for it. We've got the run down to Advan. That Mercedes with that 6.3 litre V8 could possibly do something, but Phil's kept the inside line. Now they're going down to the NGK chicane. Balzer's placed the car perfectly again. I cannot believe this. Nick Balzer, driver of the evening, again. We want to know who you guys and girls are rooting for, because for me, Nick Balzer has done the most spectacular performance. Forget Yuri Petruchenko. Nick Balzer from Germany has been the standout defensive driver all night long. We still got 21 minutes to go, David. Ridiculous defensive from Nick Balzer.
I'm sorry, what was that? What just happened there? That was incredible defensive driving, to have the marksmanship and the car control and the confidence to fire that car round the outside. We both kind of had that thought of, oh, brilliant, so he's got the move done. And he thought, absolutely no, I'm going to just stick it round the outside. Well done to Nick. That was amazing move. And yeah, as Michael puts in chat, that's a proper Lord of the Rings moment right there. You shall not pass today. That was awesome. Brilliant stuff from Nick Balzer, and that is the sort of racing that we love seeing here at the Sim Grid.
Yeah, very much the case. It looks like Florian Bauer has just been overtaken by Sebastian Handler for position in GT4. Now, obviously, Handler started on pole position. He is now down in P7. Oh, James Bacon looks to have a drive-through penalty, which he is now serving. So 20 minutes to go, David. These drivers have been pushing hard for the last hour and 10 minutes. Again, look, 10 minutes. That rain, it looks to be coming. It looks to be on the horizon, and that could change quite a few things. It could be like an ice rink if the rain's heavy enough, but it's dependent on whether there are drivers that are going to tippy-toe it. And Field looks to be going back at it with Balzer yet again for position. Look, the Porsche's got the run behind the Mercedes in the number 50. They're going through the NGK chicane. Look at that, the front left wheel of Balzer's car literally went skywards there, and he still catches the throttle. The front end came down, the aero hit, and then all of a sudden, Phil's like going, what do I absolutely need to do on God's green earth to get past this number 50 Mercedes right now?
I'll tell you right now, he's filled. Punt him, turn one, just straight on you go, mate. That's the only way you're going to get past him right now.
And you say that as they go into turn one as well.
It's joking aside, right? That is literally what he's going to have to do because, you know, Balzar has been absolutely incredible. It's been a masterclass in defensive driving from Nick Balzar in the MRL Sim Racing number 50. And, you know, we can joke about that because we obviously know that's not going to happen between Evesfield and Nick Balzar. And while we were praising Nick Balzar for the defensive driving, we also have to praise Eves for having that awareness and giving Nick that space to be able to fight back. He didn't force the issue, he didn't close the door on him, and kept it, you know, going strong. Meanwhile, that is some awesome action going on picture-in-picture in the 23rd place. That is Van der Neet in the number 49, Dave Van der Neet in the Audi that we can see going very, very wide there.
Oh, he definitely, I think he tried to do a bit of a Matthias Ekstrom EKSRX moment there in an Audi R8. That didn't quite pan out, but he was behind Laneza in the number 13. As now Balzar and Field now coming up against more backmarker traffic. A little bit of a run wide there on the outskirts of the Michelin corner before going into Warsteiner. So Nick Balzar absolutely hanging on. But David, again, top 8 still yet to make their final pit stop. We've got 17 minutes and 38 seconds. I have got a suspicious feeling, if I'm honest with you, mate. The rain could be... Oh, Balzar's now pitting. He's let Field go, so Balzar was the cork in the bottle. Phil's now gone. Balzar's going to chance it, and it depends on how much rain falls. As I say, in about 10 minutes' time, about 7 minutes on the clock, who knows what might happen.
Now, see, this is the other thing as well, because remember, if these guys are thinking, oh, I'm going to leave it as late as I can to pit, they're going to come out on cold tires and potentially a degrading track. So that's not what you want. You want to have, you know, a good 5 laps worth of heat into those tires, which means they should be pitting now, Alex, and it's very, very dangerous for every lap that they keep out of there. If that rain starts coming down heavy, oh my, are we away to see some fireworks in the final 10 minutes.
And also some pirouettes at the same time as well, David. I'm completely honest with you, as Rosenbaum nearly gets a tap from behind from Josef Dorbes. 2 Germans battling on home soil, the 777 versus the 83. And that's now coming through Warsteiner into the Advan corner, and they're going to be pushing over 235 kph in 5th gear. So 2 Mercedes line astern into the NGK chicane. Dorbes pulls to the left-hand side before slotting in behind Rosenbaum. And again, Rosenbaum was, one of the GT4s. Rosenbaum caught himself out. He went grass tracking through the right-hand side of the second part of the NGK chicane, and that gave Josef Dobbs the opportunity to slingshot up the inside, coming out of the chicane and into the Hyundai N Curva.
Yeah, we saw a car coming back on. I believe that was the 316 of Grant Wilmot in the Mercedes AMG Evo that was having a bit of a moment at that final chicane there. And you know, how brave was Josef Dobbs to absolutely fire that through, to have the commitment on the car and just take that position from Sven Rosenbaum in that 777 car. I think he's going to be very, very happy with that one. These two, of course, have done all of their pit stops, and it's a drive-through penalty for car number 12. Jean-Luc Gans has blown up his race there, and that is going to mean that he is going to drop outside of the top 20 almost certainly in that there. This is Attila Denks in the J Simulation eSport number 18. What a race he's had as well in 13th place right now, fighting it out with Soldatov. He's now dropped back to just under 9/10 of a second behind Soldatov right now in that 12th and 13th place. But again, I think he's possibly going to be getting himself into the top 10 once we see these pit stops start to unravel, Alex. So 15 minutes left to go in this German Cup race, and fireworks well and truly being lit, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere, get your popcorn, stand well back.
Yeah, I mean, Attila Denks at the 2.4 hours of Imola. He was on for a possibility of a top 5. He finished P6 in that split. And we've now got another penalty. We've got a drive-through penalty. This is for Jan-Luca Gans. An unsafe rejoin on lap number 26. So that is why Jan-Luca Gans had, and that was involving the number 101. And that was actually in the GT4 class. Mark Gibson in Mercedes AMG GT4
So, yeah, unsafe rejoin for Jan-Luca Gantz as determined by race control. So Gantz now pits for what is the final time. That's scuppered his race. That's going to put him outside of the top 15 positions. But Attila Denks, I'd love to hear what Michael Hamlet's prediction would be of where Denks is actually going to finish in this race, because he was constantly in our ears the whole time at the 2.4 hours of Imola on Super Saturday last month. I've got a feeling that Denks could actually be, I think, probably at least top 8.
That's a good shout. And just on that note, I spy with my little eye Igor Ogorodnikov up into P7, and he's done both his pit stops, 14.5 seconds behind Yves Field. He possibly could be up for a top 5. This is going to be a stunning recovery drive for Igor Ogorodnikov.
I probably would think that Igor will probably be ending up in like P4 maybe, because he's got the pace. You know, you look at the likes of Anufriev and those just up ahead of him. You know, the pit stops here, when you look into going into the pits, having your pit stop, how long is it going to take? How much fuel are you putting in? Are you putting on new tyres? So if you put on new tyres, that's basically 30 seconds in the pit stop, but you can get refueling done at the same time. So that could really give Ogorodnikov the opportunity to get up into that top 4. He might even get it to that point where, I'm going to go out on a limb, Igor could even get a podium. That's how possible it could be.
And that's just on the track right now. Of course, what we're not putting into the mix is the weather that we've got coming up in the next 5 minutes or so. So we'll have to keep our eyes absolutely glued, Alex, on the windscreens of these cars. As soon as we start to see the wipers going, that's when it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Dave Vanderneet on the inside of one of the GT4 cars in that number 49 Audi R8 Evo. Again, 22nd place right now, and on the chase for the number 13 that's just up in front of him, of Alejandro Leanza in the Audi R8.
I think that's Tobias Grönwald they've just got. Oh, Grönwald is the first one to blink. The number 52, Euronics Mercedes now in the pits with 11 minutes and 52 seconds still to go on the clock. And Petrochenko, you know, we haven't really talked much about him, the Silverstone British Classics winner. He's currently about 10.4 seconds up the road from Amir Hosseini. You know, and a stunning drive so far from Jan-Marcel Dietrich in the 85 Porsche. So, you know, what that means is that it could possibly be a German 1-3 here on home soil at the Nurburgring tonight in the German Cup. That would be one for the books.
Yeah, you could almost wish you'd scripted that. That's awesome to see that result from the German home-based drivers, and we'll see how that pans out, because again, 11 minutes to go. Who knows what's going to actually happen? Normally, we get to this stage in a race, Alex, and we feel pretty comfortable about ballpark ideas about what's going to happen. But quite honestly, literally anything can happen. It all depends on what is going to happen with this weather. If it does start pouring down, then there we go.
Oh,
there is the rain.
Look.
Oh my goodness me!
I did say it could come down light. It could come down heavy. Look, the track has dropped instantly from optimum to fast. The wipers are now going full chat as we saw Alessandro Focher closing on Lukas Kreuzer. Now, the thing is, I did say, now look at the wipers now, David. You can see the tyre marks. This track, Focher's now pitting. I've got a feeling that if the grip is disappearing, it is absolutely going away. This is going to now
Alex,
go into the hands of...
now.
Look, that's... I did say, didn't I say it? I said it could change. It just... Field's just lost it as well, the 42 Porsche. The cars are going off the track, David. It is what I thought might have happened. Yves Field from Switzerland has gotten away. I think he's had one of his 9 lives taken away from him. But just look at the torrential downpour that is coming. Petrichenko, Hosseini, Dietrich, Anufriev, Field, they need to pit now. And I think we just had a DNF as well.
Yves Field into the pits there for his final pit stop tonight, and wow, what a roll of the dice. And it looks to have calmed down a little bit actually at that corner. That camera was very deceptive there, because you can see it is absolutely teaming it down here, ladies and gentlemen, for the final 10 minutes of our very first German Cup race. It has not failed to excite us, and it's not disappointed us in any way whatsoever. Yves Field, the first of the top 5 to blink into the pit lane 15. That means Tobias Grunwald moves up and takes another position there as well. But the rain is going to get worse and worse over these final couple of minutes, and I think we are in for all hell breaking loose.
Yeah, Dietrich is actually coming up to Michelin and then going into the right of Warsteiner. We've had another penalty issued by Race Control. Cars 9 and 22, that is Reynoso and Bauer. And that was definitely
a huge save there from Jan-Marcel Dietrich out of the exit of Michelin curve there. Sorry for jumping in, Alex, but my heart almost jumped out my mouth there. That was insane car control there.
Yeah, Dietrich. You know, the thing is that the Germans in wet weather conditions, if they're on slicks and the track is getting greasy, which it is now, lap times have dropped off a cliff now, 5 seconds between where we were, and you see now, Raber's now pitted, Capicot has pitted, Zuger has now pitted. The thing is that are the likes of Grunwald and Ogorodnikov going to chance it on slick tyres? They've got 8 1/4 minutes still to do it. I don't think that's going to be possible. But then you look at people like Attila Denks, who's currently now in P10. He's got an opportunity. If the Hungarian can keep that car on the track, he could be right at the sharp end. There are drivers that are going to have that make that decision, and it's dependent on whether Petrichenko goes for it and decides, I'm going to chance it, as Attila Denks nearly loses it going through into the Hagen. He nearly went into the kitty litter there. No, that was Dunlop, sorry. But you can just tell that this track is far from being evolved. The grip has literally been taken away when all the cars have had, like if the cars had feet, the carpet was literally ripped from underneath them.
Yeah, and that is 100% the point there. I've never seen a track go from optimum to fast to green to greasy in the space of 3.5 minutes, and that's exactly what happened there, and I think it's going to deteriorate even further. I don't think there's going to be a question of drivers going on to wets, if I'm honest. I don't think the condition is that deteriorating enough that quickly, but you did make a great point there. I think the real winners here are Grunwald and Ogorodnikov, because they are on warm, hot, sticky tyres that are going to try and keep that heat in, and they're going to build up more temperature than Petrichenko, Hosseini, Dietrich and Onufriev over the next couple of laps here, Alex.
But the thing is that when you look at the final chicane could possibly be that one that thought, there's Ogorodnikov trying to get past. That's the 818 Porsche, and that is Ryan Whitlock from the US. And I think he's just got past, that is the 237 of Depré from France. And now, look how close Denks is to Zolotov. I'm wondering, Zolotov's times, he was a 2-minute 2, Denks a 2-minute 2.4. Nick Balzer, he's been running in 2 minutes. And Nufriev, I mean, you look at Hosseini, Dietrich, and Nufriev, they're running in the low, the high, the 158s and the 159s. But the thing is that do they chance it? They'll go in for it. I think the top 4 will do a splash and dash, and you'll probably pretty much see that synchronised at any given moment. They'll have an opportunity. The beauty about these one-off events, David, is that you can have the pit stops at any time in this race. There is no mandated pit stop window. That's the beauty of these one-off events here on the sim grid.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it really throws that whole dynamic. Oh, as we see Dave van der Neet on the exit of turn 1, and that's exactly what we were expecting to see there. Oh, we've got a car off as well. That's the number 22. I think that's Diego Pereira that has gone off at, I think that's Warsteiner that he's went off. Really struggling to get any sort of grip, but here we go. Petrichenko, Hosseini, Dietrich and Onufriev are the last cars in the top 4. In fact, it looks like in the top 20 that have to pit right now. It's going to be a case of who blinks first out of these drivers just now, and I just don't know which one is. I've got to be honest, Alex, because it's really a case of who is going to come out on top in these final 5 minutes.
Just keep your eyes on Nick Balzer. Look how close he is on Igor Ogorodnikov going through into the Hagen. Igor is struggling now. That car has lost complete pace, and that taking that gamble earlier on, Igor has now put himself in harm's way, and Nick Balzer smells blood in the water right now with 4 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock remaining here, David. It's not going to be easy.
just watching this on that, Alex, I'm just watching how much wheel spin you're seeing from Igor Ogorodnikov. You're watching him redlining the car, and I wonder if his traction control's on a different setting to Nick Balzar behind him, because he's so gingerly having to nurse that car around. The overcorrections are wild. You can see here in the final 4 minutes of the race here. Again, in fourth gear. It's just crazy to see how much he's having to just gently guide that car around here.
I mean, look at it this way. Ogorodnikov, he was 3.2 seconds slower than Nick Balzar on that last lap. The number 41 is struggling. The non-Evo car is struggling. The Evo is getting quicker in these dying stages. And we still have not seen the top 4 pit yet. But the thing is, the person I think, the 2 people that are really in pole position at the moment, maybe 3, Yuri Petrichenko, Amir Hosseini, and then Jan-Marcel Dietrich. The top 3 definitely doing one thing. And Tom Hyer, look at this. Nick Babin has yet to do his final pit stop. Nick Babin needs to pit in the next 180 seconds, as it looks like... so Florian Bauer, we mentioned about that earlier, the 10-second penalty for having contact with Juan Reynoso in the number 9 BMW M4 GT4. You've then got also the 316. Grant Wilmot has now pitted for the last time. So you're now going to see that these drivers are... Okay, Petrichenko's blinked. He's the first one. He's decided to go for it and wait to see what the others do. If the others start following him quickly, that is going to be rather interesting, David. But it looks like Amir Hosseini has now pitted, so the top 2 in. 3rd and 4th have yet to do so. Oh, so they're all coming in, literally line astern. So that is 3rd place. That is Jan-Marcel Dietrich. And Nufriev is going to be the last GT3 car to possibly pit. He's got just over 2 minutes to get in there, get the pit stop done, take on a couple of litres of fuel, if that, because he's now going to go through. He's now in the pit, so that is the top 4 now pitted. Now, where is Grönvall? He's now coming through into the Schumacher S's. The rain's still falling. Now, Grönvall, let's not forget, was at the mercy of Niklas Huben, as was George Boothby after 2.4 hours of Imola on Super Saturday. He's now coming through the left-hander of Michelin and then into the right-hander, as now it looks like Petrichenko and Hosseini have now exited pit lane. And could it be that Grönvall could get himself into a podium-paying position? Looks to be not the case, because I think Dietrich has now gotten out and Nufriev... So Dietrich is out, so podium is pretty much secure with... Oh no, Dietrich has just come into drama. He's managed to keep it, and that was Sebastian Handler, I believe, that's been in the walls again. The number 15 has had no real chance to capitalise on that pole position in GT4 with 60 seconds on the clock. The rain's still falling. The number 22 there of Florian Bauer's Porsche GT4 Cayman absolutely has been taken to war. Look at the amount of damage on that car, front, left-hand side and rear of that Porsche. And here's a replay now, David. This is the number 85. Oh, and he gets a tag. He gets a tag from Sebastian Handler. But thank goodness for that. Jan-Marcel Dietrich hangs on, as we've got just over 30 seconds still to go. I know for a fact that every single one of these drivers will be breathing a huge sigh of relief once the checkered comes out.
Oh, for sure, for sure. A couple of laps ago, when the rain started, Ogorodnikov, we were commenting that he was losing the pace and getting caught up by Balzar. That's changed now, because he's really catching up now to Yves Field, as 10 seconds left to go. So we are on the edge of the end of the race, because this is going to be the final lap here. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Ogorodnikov gets the move done. So here we go then, the final corner, and it's going to be Yuri Petrichenko out of the old Coca-Cola car for the final time across the line. It's a race win on the German Cup for Yuri Petrichenko. A brilliant 2 wins out of 2 for Petrichenko from the HR Sim Racing team. It's going to be second place for Amir Hosseini on the inside of a GT4 car there. A brilliant, well-deserved fight back for Amir Hosseini there. And then it's going to be another podium for Dietrich in the number 85. Jan-Marcel Dietrich will take that final podium position. The smoke starts to flare up here at the Nurburgring. What a drive from this man here. Igor Ogorodnikov taking 6th place on that final lap there, taking it from Yves Field there. And yeah, that was awesome stuff. It's not done yet, but I think Ogorodnikov has enough of a gap right now, Alex, to take that 6th place.
Yep, so one more corner for this trio. Ogorodnikov nearly loses the back end coming into the final corner, but the number 41 will take 6th position behind Vasily Onufriev and Tobias Kohnwald. Yves Field now. That was close going across the line. They were covered by just under a 10th and a half. Nick Balsa, my defensive driver of the evening in the number 50, takes 8th place, and he will finish ahead of Konstantin Soldatov. There's Baptiste Capicot in the number 36 as Soldatov takes 9th. Denks takes 10th. David Mertz will take 11th as there is a GT4 stricken to the outside of Warsteiner. Lukas Kreuzer will take a good position, but here is Tom Heyer. It was an Austrian on pole position here at the Nürburgring, but herzlichen Glückwunsch. Tom Heyer in the number 2 Porsche Team Garage 991. He comes out of the Hyundai N-Curva and takes the victory and flashes the headlights, and about 9 or so seconds back, it will be the number 344 of Christian Lozanov, who in 2 multi-class races, don't forget he won the Spa multi-class in the Aston Martin, he takes P2. That was an hour and a half race, plus also a very exciting dark lit qualifying session. I cannot believe this.
Wow.
Oh God is villain, as they say. Oh my God, that was brilliant. And yes, this is wieder vorbei, meine Damen und Herren. Now it is over and done with, apart from the interviews.
Yeah, that was awesome, buddy. Thank you so much for joining me in the virtual commentary booth for that one. That was, I think, safe to say, unlike any race that we've seen so far here at the sim grids. Tempers fraying, a little bit of aggravation early on, but there's your confirmation then of your results. Petrochenko taking the race win in the GT3s from Amir Hosseini, and then it is of course in 3rd place Dietrich there, Jan-Marcel Dietrich taking a well-earned 3rd place, and then for the GT4s it was of course Tom Reyer in the number 2 car taking the GT4 victory. But yeah, awesome stuff. Let's have a look if we've got any drivers waiting to come in. Not yet, but Alex, so many talking points in that. I for me, the standout moment of the race has to be Nick Balzar, fighting off Yves Field there, holding on side by side and making that defensive drive around the outside.
Well, I think I'm going to steal one out of your playbook, mate. You call that car thick. He made that as wide as an 18-wheeler articulated lorry around the Nürburgring. And just the way that he kept his Feld at bay, Sven Rosenbaum didn't have an easy time getting past him either. But Nick Balsar, I think for me, that was the standout drive of the evening. I mean, of course, congratulations. Let's not forget Yuri Petrochenko and Tom Heyer, Germans winning at the German Cup, and it is not a clean hang on a second, what car was Yuri Petrochenko in? Because I think, let's have a look, shall we? Because
not Porsche.
Porsche have done the double. Stuttgart have overall taken total victory in both GT3 and GT4 this evening. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. One manufacturer did win out of the 4 luxury manufacturers, with Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz. They'll all have to come back again, but Porsche is the outright victor here at the Nürburgring.
Well, I think, Alex, we're going to have to give you the opportunity, if you would like to flex your German native tongue and have a little chat with Tom Reyer, because he's in the waiting room to have a chat. So how do you fancy that?
I'll give it a go. Let's see what happens. It can only go well. That's all I can say.
I'll listen to little bits of it and try and give you the ins and outs of it, ladies and gentlemen, when it's all done and dusted. So, into our virtual commentary booth then. Winner Tom Reyer, and going to be interviewed by our very own Alex Goldschmidt.
Tom, erstens herzlichen Glückwunsch heute Nacht. Toller Sieg.
Wie ist deine Gefühl im Moment?
Should I do it in English or in German?
Vielleicht auf Deutsch oder auf Englisch, ist es mir egal.
Ja, also ziemlich überraschend, ehrlich gesagt, wenn man bedenkt, was der werte Kollege da am Porsche im Qualifying abgelegt hat, war das jetzt nicht unbedingt das Result, womit ich jetzt gedacht hätte. Aber aufgrund dessen, wie das Rennen verlaufen ist, dann doch am Ende sehr zufrieden. Very happy with the result in the end.
Yeah, so well done. A victory for Porsche. So yeah, effectively Tom said completely surprised with the results tonight. Tom, we'll switch to English now anyway. But obviously Sebastian Handler was the person that put it on pole position. And you had a really good strategy. I think just everyone, it was a very tough first lap in the dark at the Nurburgring, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very tough, especially the first lap, considering that we were like 45 cars or something, just bunched up heavily. Yeah, just managed to avoid as much carnage as possible in the first couple of laps. Yeah, I don't know, it just felt like car was really good. Was just driving the way I wanted it to and just had the pace over the entire race, yeah. Actually, I think I'm the only person that didn't change tires in the top 3. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't change tires. I mean, I just checked. I had a massive flat spot on the front left, so it wasn't worth it in the end. But
Gott sei Dank, dass für dich gab es keine Reifenschaden, ne?
Nee, just a flat spot.
Oh, thank God for that. Well, well done, Tom. Fantastic drive. Congratulations, our first ever winner of the German Cup. Letztes Mal, Tom. Herzlichen Glückwunsch heute Nacht, mein Freund.
Dankeschön. Thank you.
It's Goldschmidt. What a sensation! I love that. I didn't understand any of it, but yeah, that was quite slick, my friend. You have earned my impression.
Surprised with the pace that he had. You know, not having a puncture. You know, we have seen it in races before where drivers would have a flat spot. You know, through his system, he probably would have had. You know, he said he didn't change tyres. So luckily enough, he didn't get any punctures. He didn't get any excessive degradation. But running with a flat spot can be very, very testing. You know, and this is, from what I understand, this is his first event with us at Simgrid. And to, you know, qualify in the top 7 in the class and then take the victory by a comfortable margin, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's a hell of a debut then for Tom, if that's the case, and we can't wait to see more of that. That was awesome stuff. And to be honest, he made it look very, very straightforward. He was in control and really didn't have any of the drama that some of the other GT4 drivers were involved in. Talking of GT4 drivers, we have the number 8 one. So we'll bring him in and have a little chat with Ryan. But Ryan, good evening, and yeah, that was just a normal race, really, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, that was tricky, especially with the rain at the end, and then GT3s continuing to be GT3s. That was tough.
Now we've seen a couple of multi-class races, and from our point of view, is it just us, or did the GT3s really have their elbows out tonight?
They definitely did. I think it was just the combination of the rain looming later, so people had the idea of having to get moves done now. And also, like, there have obviously been other multi-class races, but this had a pretty good GT4 field, at least more so than I've seen before.
And obviously, it could have been a lot better for you in terms of the race P9 and GT4. Talk us through the early stages of the race, because obviously you didn't then have the GT4s, the GT3s to contend with. But do you feel that race could have gone better for yourself?
I had a little bit of contact close to the start, but these GT4s take damage like it's nothing, so I didn't really feel it. But I qualified 11th, so finishing 9th isn't too bad. Plus, I had no setup. I had no setup on this car, so I mean, even though the finishing position wasn't that great, I still gained lots of places overall and 2 places in class, so I honestly can't complain.
Ryan, if only you'd went to Coach Dave Academy, you see, it could have been a completely different race tonight.
Don't worry, I have plenty of their other setups. I have plenty of their other setups, just not the Cayman. I don't drive the Cayman that often.
What sort of how different is the GT4 compared to the GT3? Obviously, the speed is on a different level, but how does the handling compare to the GT3?
Very different, especially between the Porsches. Honestly, this Cayman doesn't really even drive like a mid-engine car. Its entry and mid-corner behavior isn't even like the Ferraris or the Lamborghini GT3s. Forget the Porsche. So it's pretty easy to drive in a way. You can definitely attack the curbs, and it honestly was totally fine in the rain once the rain started coming, unlike its GT3 counterpart.
Well, congratulations again, Ryan. We really look forward to seeing you again here sometime soon on the sim grids, and a well-earned P9 in GT4 tonight.
Yep, thank you.
So there we go, guys. That is it. We have looked like we've run out of drivers to interview. So thank you to everyone that has taken part tonight. A huge thank you to Mike Yao and Michael Hamlet behind the scenes as our production team. Some finishing thoughts, obviously. Alex, a crazy race from the GT3s, a very aggressive race from some of the GT3s, but yeah, a really massive talking point throughout the race. Obviously, that move from Nick Balzar going side by side with Yves Field.
There were so many moments. I think my mind is completely a blur at the moment, Mr. Christie, if I'm completely honest with you. Really good to hear from Tom High and also from Ryan Whitlock. I mean, there is something I do want to say to those people that will understand what I'm saying right now. Danke sehr an alle unsere Teilnehmer von GT3 und GT4, die heute Nacht bei uns sein war, und auch bei unseren Zuschauern. Danke sehr für Ihre Unterstützung für den ersten deutschen Pokal des Simgrids heute bei den Nurburgring. So basically, thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to every GT3 and GT4 driver that's raced with us tonight. And obviously, we've decided the first ever German Cup, and Porsche is triumphant here in the Eifel region.
Porsche comes out on top then, ladies and gentlemen. That is the takeaway from tonight. Remember, head over to CoachDaveAcademy.com if you want to pick up some professionally developed sim racing esports ready setups, and also head over to our other wonderful partner, Thrustmaster.com, for the very best in sim racing equipment. Other than that, head over to thesimgrid.com and be part of our community. We want to see you guys racing here with us, whether it's through the season 2, the newly announced season 2 of the World Cup, with an amazing $20,000 cash pot over the 2 splits and 5 races. That is going to be something truly spectacular taking place this year. Lots and lots of championships still to come here. But from myself, David Christie, a huge thank you always has to go out to Alex Goldschmidt for the amazing coverage tonight. And see you guys very soon for more action here from the Sim Grid. But on behalf of myself and Alex, have a wonderful night and take care.
Thank you.